This video continues with Chapter 61, Black Zetsu and -039, S speculation. Naruto, I'm in Konoha, my name is Uzumaki Menma. Chapter 61, Black Zetsu and -039, S speculation. Chapter 61, Black Zetsu speculation. Grass Ninja Village. This small ninja village, which had a good relationship with Konoha, is now completely unrecognizable. The original hospital building was mostly destroyed by the bomb, and the entire village was devastated by the battle that night. This is the immense destruction caused by the nine-faced beast with the face covered in hemp, enough to rival 1,000 troops. Wu Wei stood on the edge of the battlefield, still deeply fearing the terrifying power of Shura even after 2 days. The surviving ninja and villagers, under Wu Wei's leadership, are doing their utmost to rescue the wounded and collect the bodies. However, the destruction caused by these 9 terrifying summoning beasts resulted in widespread damage to the center of Kusagakure. More than 40 ninjas, including the village leader Kuji Kusanagi and the ANBU captain Ryu, were killed, and as many as 300 or 400 people, including villagers, were injured. For the small ninja village, such casualties have almost halved their overall strength. It will take at least a generation to gradually recover the fighting capacity lost in this battle. Brother Wu Cheng walked over, leaning on a cane. He was also holding a statistical report in his hand. The village's losses have been tallied, Wu Cheng read aloud. Including the leader, Lord Kusanagi, and Captain Longxi of the Anbu, a total of 9 Jonin were killed, 30 Chunin and Genin were killed, and 370 villagers died. The injured include 8 Jonin, 56 Chunin and Genin, and 563 villagers. Wu Wei trembled when he heard the casualty figures. The village leader was killed in action. More than a dozen elite Jonin were killed or wounded. Nearly 100 ninjas were injured or killed, and nearly 1,000 villagers were killed or wounded. It's important to know that as the most central area of the ninja village, these villagers are basically all reserve soldiers with ninja talent. During wartime, the ninja village's mobilization capacity relies entirely on these villagers. Such a huge number of casualties is a devastating blow to the grass village. Brother, should we issue a bounty on Shura at the gold exchange? Wu Cheng also came to Wu Wei's side. Looking at the village in such a terrible state, he was in a daze. He still felt lingering fear when he thought of the battle 2 days ago. That mysterious Asura, using only 9 terrifying summoning beasts, destroyed their entire Kusagakure village in this way. He didn't even personally lift a finger, yet he inflicted such heavy casualties on the grass ninja village. No need. Wu Wei sighed with his eyes closed, then slowly opened them, his eyes filled with apprehension and fear. We are no match for him. Let's not give him an excuse to cause trouble again. They couldn't defeat them, not even the entire ninja village. This profound sense of despair made Wu Wei feel that their enemy was like a god. Perhaps even the legendary god of ninjas and Shura of the ninja world, who supposedly overwhelmed the ninja world more than 50 years ago, were nothing special. Impermanence also deeply agrees. The 2 brothers stood there, their expressions solemn, and fell silent. In the distance between the 2 brothers, Wu Wei and Wu Cheng, in the shadow of a building that had been bombed and was now only half intact, a pitcher plant-like creature emerged from the ground. Wow, what destructive power. White Zetsu looked at the devastating battlefield in the center of the village in the distance and whistled with a sigh. Black Zetsu stared expressionlessly at the destroyed Kusagakure village. Such terrifying fighting power. Is he a descendant of Hagoromo or Hamura? Even Black Zetsu Otsutsuki, who had been operating in the ninja world in secret for 1,000 years, had never seen such a terrifying scene. Such power enough to destroy a city he had only seen in Ashura, the Indra brothers, Madara Uchiha, and Hashirama Senju in the past 1,000 years. But even Black Zetsu, who had been monitoring the ninja world for 1,000 years, had no information about such a powerful figure. This is why Black Zetsu couldn't help but think of the Otsutsuki Hamura clan. Only those beings on the moon with Byakugan, whom Black Zetsu deeply feared and dared not send White Zetsu and the Otsutsuki Hamura clan to the moon to monitor them, could possibly have cultivated such a powerful individual. So, what exactly is his purpose? Black Zetsu recalled all the things that Shura had done since his appearance. They attacked the Hyuga clan of Konoha, attacked the Kumigakure of the Land of Lightning, and now they've attacked the Kusagakure. Wait, could it really be? Black Zetsu suddenly remembered something related to the Otsutsuki clan on the moon. Several years ago, the elderly Madara Uchiha summoned the Jido Mazo to prolong his life. The Jido Mazo remained in the ninja world until it was summoned by Nagato, and it continued to absorb Nagato's chakra. The Otsutsuki clan noticed the disappearance of the Jido Mazo and dispatched powerful shinobi to the shinobi world to search for it. After having this thought, Black Zetsu felt that the possibility was very high the more he thought about it. This mysterious Asura has no traceable growth trajectory, and it's impossible for an ordinary ninja to suddenly possess such formidable strength, almost on par with Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Unless he possesses the chakra of Ashura and Indra. But the chakra of those two has only been reincarnated within the Senju and Uchiha clans for thousands of years. If it's the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, then Black Zetsu needs to be careful. It seems I need to find an opportunity to have Nagato or Obito test this guy. Otherwise, I can't let him keep causing trouble in the ninja world and disrupting my plans. Black Zetsu had endured for 1,000 years before finally finding this opportunity with Uchiha Madara. The Eye of the Moon plan to save Mother must not fail. The market in the capital of the Land of Fire was bustling with activity. Uchiha Hikaru, dressed in his new clothes, was particularly eye-catching. The girl, dressed in a dark blue trench coat, black shorts, and open-toed ankle boots, looked dashing and heroic, a stark contrast to her disheveled appearance when she broke free from the lockdown. Sister, try this." Karin held up an orange headband and wrapped it around Uchiha Hikaru. This outfit was bought by Uzumaki Vanilla with the help of Uchiha Hikaru. Seeing 3-year-old Karin holding up an orange headband, Uchiha Hikaru felt pity for this child with a tragic past. He squatted down and let Karin put the headband on her. This kind of light is even more lovely. Vanilla Whirlpool held some purchased daily necessities in her hands, squinting and smiling. It was her first time visiting such a bustling market, and Uchiha Hikari was a little timid. If Menma hadn't asked her to protect Uzumaki Kaoru and her daughter, she wouldn't have wanted to come to such a crowded place. After collecting some supplies, the three returned to their hotel. Menma was looking at the map, deep in thought. When he saw the three of them return, he looked up and noticed Uchiha Hikaru's headband, and praised with a smile, "It's a very pretty headband." "Karin helped me choose it," the girl replied softly, the slight upturn of her lips revealing her inner joy. "Menma praise me." Karin jumped in front of Menma, tilting her head expectantly. Menma reached out his right hand and affectionately ruffled Karin's hair. "It's time to set off." Menma put away the map and said to the three of them, "The members of the other group have been on their way for some time now, and we need to get going. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote for this book. Please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers." End of this chapter, Chapter 62, by order of Lord Shura, we have come to provide support. Chapter 62, by order of Lord Shura, we have come to provide support, in the basement of Menma's house in Konoha village. The flying thunder god Kanai was hung upside down, and Menma lightly stroked the intricately engraved spell patterns on its surface. The shadow clone remaining in Konoha village reported the latest situation and research progress to the main body of Menma, who was active outside, by dissolving the clone. In particular, there were some breakthroughs in the research of yin-yang release technique, so Menma's main body returned to Konoha village directly through the Flying Thunder God technique. This Flying Thunder God Kanai is really useful. Menma toyed with the Flying Thunder God Kanai in his hand. In just 2 months, he built secret teleportation bases in 9 countries, including the Land of Fire, the Land of Lightning, the Land of Fields, and the Land of Hot Water, leaving behind his own specially made Flying Thunder God Kanai. They even dispatched 2 shadow clones to build secret bases in countries such as the Land of Water, the Land of Wind, the Land of Earth, and the Land of Rainbows, and set up specially made flying thunder god kanai. It's believed that before long, the entire ninja world will become a chessboard for him to roam freely. Upon entering the training room on the 2nd floor, 2 shadow clones were practicing the precision of chakra control. Menma walked to the table, his eyes quickly scanning the data in the lab notebook. This research direction should be correct, but Menma muttered to himself, stroking his chin, and then suddenly fell silent. Then he raised his right hand and mixed the yin and yang chakra in his body in a certain proportion, gradually condensing it into a short black rod. This black stick is less than 20 centimeters long, only the size of a little finger, and extremely unstable. However, the yin-yang escape techniques contained within it are becoming increasingly apparent. Bass. With a crisp cracking sound, the black rod in Menma's hand instantly disintegrated, turning into a ball of chakra and dissipating into the air. Menma stared at his empty palm, savoring the feeling and sensation of what he had just experienced. He had already grasped the basics of yin-yang escape technique and was just one step away from mastering it. After leaving several shadow clones to continue practicing chakra nature transformations and precision control, Menma's main body deactivated the transformation technique and reverted to his child form. His persona in Konoha is that of a pampered young master, so he naturally has to go out and about often. As for the arduous training, he can leave that to his shadow clones. Thanks to the physique of the Uzumaki clan and the vast chakra provided by the Dark Nine-Tails, he was able to support countless shadow clones, allowing him to excel in everything from practicing ninjutsu and taijutsu techniques to conducting scientific research. When the shadow clone dissipates, all sorts of memories and the soreness in all the muscles are transmitted back to the main body, which is quite a tingling sensation. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Menma pondered whether to go find Naruto or Hinata today. But after thinking about it, I realized that the Hyuga clan's training is quite extensive, and if I were to get out, Hinata would definitely come looking for me. While Naruto's identity is special, and he is being monitored by the Anbu, so even though I'm still just a kid, it wouldn't be good for him to visit them too often. Sai, looks like I'll just have to wander around by myself. Menma walked listlessly through the bustling streets of Konoha, his hands behind his head. As the largest ninja village in the ninja world, Konoha has a population of 80,000 to 90,000, and at least 1/5 of them are capable of refining chakra. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, each country formed a ninja force of over 87,000 people. The 5 great nations each had an average of over 10,000 ninjas. Konoha was able to fight on multiple fronts against several great nations in each Shinobi World War, so its military strength was probably the largest. Let's assume that Konoha has more than 15,000 ninjas. Given the premise that all ninja villages are soldiers, and assuming a 1:5 ratio of soldiers to population, Konoha would have at least 75,000 people. Of course, this was a special case during the Fourth Shinobi World War, in which many retired ninjas from various clans who were not registered in their villages joined the Allied forces, which led to the calculation. Otherwise, based on Kishimoto's statement in the manga that Konoha produced a total of over 13,000 ninjas, the number of registered ninjas in other ninja villages would be even less than that of Konoha, making it impossible to assemble a combined ninja force of over 87,000. Wow, how cute! A joyful laugh came from a nearby shop, attracting Menma's attention. He turned his head slightly and saw a somewhat familiar sign. The emblem of the Uchiha clan. Menma stopped and looked up. It was a weapon shop with a cat ear sign. A Uchiha boy of about 7 or 8 years old was being forced to wear a cat ear headband by a female ninja of the same age with 2 braids, with his back to Menma. Beside the two, there was a team leader wearing a Jonin vest with several scratch marks on his face, and another boy with spiky hair, also wearing cat ear headbands, holding a struggling cat in his arms. Seeing passersby looking over, the spiky-haired boy quickly turned his head away. Itachi, look, he's so cute, the girl said to Uchiha Itachi with starry eyes. 8-year-old Itachi Uchiha did not resist, but curiously touched the cat ear headband on his head. The Jonin leading the team, whose face was marked with scratches, watched the heartwarming daily life of the three little ones with tenderness. The group of people, chatting and laughing, walked into the weapons shop while each carrying a cat. He's Itachi's teammate and teacher. Menma clicked his tongue twice. He watched the group of people enter the weapons shop as they walked away, as if they were dead. Being targeted by Obito Uchiha was simply their bad luck. And what does this have to do with me? Menma hummed a little tune as she continued shopping. The capital of the Bear Kingdom. Kato and Kakuzu, who had already arrived in the Bear Kingdom, were waiting for another team at a suburban camp. Strange, the men I sent out didn't find out anything unusual about Hashigakure. Gato, wearing small glasses, scratched his head. On the box opposite, Kakuzu crushed a heart with utter disgust. As he watched the dark heart, still oozing with fine threads, turn into black blood and drip onto the ground, Kato felt nauseous. Jonin, pshaw, I think that kid is only Chunin at best. Kakuzu was very dissatisfied with the guy he had met earlier who claimed to be a Jonin. His heart strength was not even as good as that of a special Jonin from a major ninja village, which made Kakuzu happy for nothing. A gentle breeze blew by, and Kakuzu was the first to notice something amiss, looking towards the camp gate. This camp was a supply depot for the Kato group on the outskirts of the Bear Kingdom's capital, and Kato had long since driven away the guards. Kato followed Kakuzu's gaze and saw two women walking over with a child. He was about to get up and reprimand them when he saw that Kakuzu had also stood up. Kato, who was good at reading people, immediately noticed that something was wrong. These two women with children, could they be? Sorry to keep you waiting. Vanilla Uzumaki, holding the somewhat timid Karin in her hand, bowed to the two unfriendly figures in front of her. We have come to provide support on the orders of Lord Shura. Whirlpool Vanilla. Nameless. Uchiha Hikaru took a step forward, his three-tamo Sharingan swirling, meeting Kakuzu's gaze. Kakuzu, who had initially been somewhat dismissive, trembled in his blue pupils when he saw those eyes. It's the Uchiha clan. Kakuzu, who had lived since the Warring States period, exclaimed in surprise from behind his mask. And the Uzumaki clan. End of this chapter, Chapter 63, Uchiha Hikaru dancing. Chapter 63, Uchiha Hikaru dancing. Kakuzu, who has lived to be 82, is a living fossil in the ninja world where the average lifespan is only 30 years. He has experienced countless storms in his life and has seen all kinds of situations. A combination of the Uchiha and Uzumaki clans. Holy crap, I've never seen that before. This is unbelievable, Kakuzu thought to himself, speechless. Those crimson Sharingan eyes, there's no mistake. When Kakuzu was still in Takagakure, he fought against many Konoha ninjas and even attempted to assassinate the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. Then he was severely injured by Hashirama and nearly died. Even after Kakuzu betrayed Takagakure to become a bounty hunter, the Uchiha clan of Konoha was still the group of people Kakuzu least wanted to provoke. This group of red-eyed idiots are notorious battle maniacs throughout the ninja world, with only the Kaguya clan of Kirigakure able to rival them in their madness. Every Uchiha who awakens the three-tamo Sharingan is a Jonin, and their combat strength is among the top in all countries. And then there's the Uzumaki clan. That unique red hair is absolutely stunning. It is said that the Uzumaki clan has been extinct for 17 years, and no one knows where the leader found this woman. What's even stranger is that the Uchiha clan lives in Konoha village, so how come some of their bloodlines are scattered outside? And I've never heard of these two people before. Having roamed the ninja world for many years, Kakuzu, a frequent visitor to the gold exchange, was somewhat bewildered. Oh, hello you two, I'm Kato, a businessman who can't fight, and I'm in charge of raising funds for the organization. Kato rubbed his hands together as he stepped forward, his posture humble. They invited the two women into the middle of the camp, and did not look down on them because they were women. I am Kakuzu. Although Kakuzu was somewhat wary of this group, he still spoke tough. HMPH, you are too slow. The leader said you would take care of Hoshigakure first. Sorry, we came from the land of water, which caused a delay. After sitting down with Karin in front of the campfire in the middle of the camp, Vanilla Uzumaki smiled and turned her head. It's just a Hoshigakure village. We can take care of it quickly. Uchiha Hikaru interrupted the conversation and asked Gato, location. The tone was cold and unquestionable, just like when that lord was present, which sent a chill down Kato's spine. He hurriedly took out a map scroll and handed it to the other party. I'll take care of it. Uchiha Hikaru took the map scroll, opened it, glanced at it, and after confirming the coordinates of Hoshigakure, he instantly disappeared. I'll go check it out too, Kakuzu said with interest, before disappearing into the night. Only Kato and his daughter, Vanilla Whirlpool, remained in the camp. This made Kato a little reserved, so he quickly rummaged through the goods and found some toys for Karin to play with. Meanwhile, Vanilla Whirlpool took out a scroll containing the secret techniques of the Whirlpool clan and continued to study it. As he sped along, Uchiha Hikaru noticed Kakuzu following behind him. Gradually, Kakuzu caught up with Uchiha Hikaru, and they moved forward side by side. Don't look at me like that. Kakuzu chuckled, his blue eyes turning to Uchiha Hikaru, and explained, I'm going to Hoshigakure to capture a decent ninja to supplement my secret techniques. Don't expect me to help you with anything else. Kakuzu was actually quite interested in the Uchiha clan. If it weren't for the fact that they didn't have a bounty and were members of the organization, Kakuzu's desire to make money might have already been stirring. A pair of Sharingan eyes could fetch a lot of money on the black market. Just don't get in my way. Uchiha Hikaru snorted and sped up. HMPH, Kakuzu also sped up to catch up. Star Village is located in the eastern part of the Land of Bears, bordering the Land of Earth, the Land of Birds, and the Land of Wind. Surrounded by a hellish valley filled with poisonous gas, it also isolated itself from attacks from these 3 countries and 3 directions. It was precisely because of the formidable Hell Valley that many ninja villages that coveted Meteorite Village were unable to invade Star Ninja Village, thus bringing Star Ninja Village a relatively peaceful period of development for 200 years. But the meteorites seemed to have radiation, which would further erode the body of the cultivator. For 200 years, all those who cultivated the peacock technique had met a tragic end. When Uchiha Hikaru stood at the entrance gate of Hoshigakure, the sky had already darkened, and the sparsely lit houses were reflected in his Sharingan. Kakuzu also stood by with his arms crossed, glancing at Uchiha Hikaru to see what tactics she would employ. But then Uchiha Hikaru stormed straight into Hoshigakure. A decapitation strike tactic, Kakuzu had a rough idea. In such a small ninja village, the strongest fighting force consists of only a few elite ninjas, including the leader. Most of the other ninjas are Chunin and Genin, posing no threat. By controlling the leader of a ninja village, you control half of that village. Sure enough, a short while later, an explosion ripped through the night. Thick smoke billowed from the center of Hashinin village. Kakuzu also went up to watch the excitement. When he arrived at the center of Zingren village, he saw that the so-called Xingying building, a wooden building that was only 3 or 4 stories high, had been mostly destroyed, and the rest was burning fiercely. The 3rd Hoshikage crawled out of the ruins in a disheveled state, his right shoulder wound revealing bone. Seeing the figure slowly emerge from the firelight, the 3rd Hoshikage's eyes widened, and he demanded, "Who exactly are you?" "Are you here to steal the star?" The 3rd Hoshikage, sporting a mustache, trembled in his voice. "With your strength, you dare to call yourself a cage." Uchiha Hikaru emerged from the flames of the ruins, looking at the star shadow hat on the little old man's head and finding it somewhat laughable. When she heard that there was a cage in the Star Village, she thought he would be a formidable opponent. As a result, a single fire-style ninjutsu attack blew up the so-called Star Shadow building, and the 3rd Star Shadow was also severely injured. This completely dampened Uchiha Hikaru's interest. Lord Hoshikage. At this moment, dozens of Hoshikage ninjas rushed over. The radicals, led by Akahoshi, and the ninjas of the Star Shadow's secret service, some wearing ninja headbands with star patterns and others wearing animal masks, looked at the girl in the firelight of the Star Shadow building as if facing a formidable enemy. They had no idea how the enemy crossed Hell Valley or entered the territory of Star Ninja Village. Go. She's all alone. Kill her. Kai Xing shouted, forming hand seals and beginning to activate the Peacock Mystic technique. Countless pale purple chakra surged from Akahoshi's body, solidifying behind him into a pale purple chakra dragon that charged towards the enemy on the ground. The other star ninjas also formed hand seals and used the peacock technique they had cultivated. In an instant, the chakra of these star ninjas condensed into animal forms such as tigers, eagles, bears, and leopards, launching an attack on the intruder from all directions. Come on. Uchiha Hikaru shouted softly, charging towards Akahoshi, who had the loudest voice in front of him. Akahoshi's expression changed drastically as he manipulated the solidified chakra dragon formed by the peacock technique and charged towards Uchiha Hikaru. Fire release, great fire annihilation. The girl's hands flew and blazing waves of fire spewed from her mouth. The fiery peacock technique meets the crimson star. The two ninjutsu techniques collided in midair, unleashing a deafening explosion. Akahoshi's chakra dragon was directly crushed and devoured, and countless flames shot out. But even faster than these flames was a young woman. While Akahoshi was still dumbfounded, Uchiha Hikaru broke through the flames and grabbed Akahoshi's head with one hand. Press it down suddenly. Boom, Kai Xing landed face first. His entire body was slammed into the ground, and with a loud bang, earth and rocks burst apart. A chakra tiger lunged at him, but Uchiha Hikaru dodged its claws by tilting his head. He then used the chakra to close the distance and punched the star ninja in the chin, sending him flying several meters into the air. Before his opponent could land, Uchiha Hikaru continued to dash left and right among the star ninjas, his crimson Sharingan eyes spinning rapidly, clearly capturing every movement of each star ninja. She moved through the enemy ranks like a ghost, her fists and feet cracking with a resounding sound. Using only taijutsu, he slaughtered the entire group of star ninja. In the blink of an eye, the elite forces were completely routed. Kakuzu stood on a treetop, watching Uchiha Hikaru dance on the battlefield, and exclaimed in amazement, as expected of the Uchiha clan. Please continue reading, please add this to your favorites, please vote for this book, please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter, Chapter 64, Conquering the Star Ninja Village. Chapter 64, Conquering the Star Ninja Village. Hoshigakure, a small ninja village hidden deep in the mountains, actually has only about 200 ninjas in terms of combat strength, with only about 40 chunin, and only a handful of jonin like Akihiko, Shizu, and Yataka. The other so-called elites were at best only some special jonin-level strength. Under Uchiha Hikaru's overwhelming offensive, these ninjas were swept away like autumn leaves in a raging storm. If Menma hadn't wanted Hoshigakure to serve him, the entire Hoshigakure might have been slaughtered by Uchiha Hikaru by now. Watching his own ninjas being repeatedly knocked away on the battlefield, Yoruichi, the third Hoshikage, struggled to his feet, his heart filled with bitterness. A year ago, Hoshigakure could have assembled 8 jonin-level fighters. But since last year, when 2 jonin, Summer and Firefly, defected, only a handful of jonin remained in the village. Stop, Yi Xing screamed, clutching the wound on his right shoulder, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of exploding flames. In the center of the battlefield, Uchiha Hikari stood with her arms crossed amidst the ruins of the Star Shadow building, with a bald ninja beneath her feet. The Star Shadow building behind her was still burning fiercely, the flames illuminating her figure and leaving a deep sense of fear in the hearts of the Star Ninja present. Yi Xing recognized the Star Ninja who was being trampled under his feet. His name was Yi Ying, a jonin of the younger generation in the village who was quite skilled in taijutsu. But he couldn't even catch her casual kick. Looking around, on the battlefield centered on the Star Shadow building, Most of the dozens of star ninjas lying around were seriously injured, but not dead, clearly indicating that the girl had no intention of killing them. "What you want is the stars. I'll give them to you." Night Star struggled forward, clutching his wound. The surrounding star ninjas struggled to get up, but due to their severe injuries, they could only lie on the ground and watch their shadows surrender to the enemy. "Who said I wanted that broken rock?" Uchiha Hikaru raised his foot and kicked the bald man flying. The bald ninja crashed into the ruins and passed out completely, remaining motionless. "You didn't come here to steal the stars?" Night Star asked in astonishment. "The most important thing in the entire Star Ninja Village is the meteorite that fell here 200 years ago. The ninjas of this village gathered under this meteorite and relied on it to animate their chakra, thus comprehending the peacock technique. For Hoshigakure, their stars are treasures coveted by the entire ninja world. Now, however, it is scorned and treated like trash by the young girl. HMPH, if your star village can only grant you this much strength, then it truly doesn't deserve to be coveted." Uchiha Hikaru had also learned about the fighting strength of this star village. They naturally disdain the so-called stars. "Then what exactly do you want from attacking our star ninja village?" Yizing was very puzzled. "I demand that your entire star ninja village submit." In the firelight, the girl's voice was as cold and sharp as a blade, severing the last shred of hope in Yizing. The next day, when Kato's caravan arrived with Vanilla and her mother, Hoshigakure had already changed hands. Deep in the forest not far from Zingren village, in the center of a meteorite crater several kilometers wide and hundreds of meters deep, a training room stands quietly. Inside the room, Uchiha Hikaru, Uzumaki Vanilla, and Korin sat on one side, while Kakuzu and Gato sat on the other. The group curiously examined a purple meteorite held aloft by claw-like branches on an altar in the center. Yizing, who was already in his 40s, also changed his clothes, taking off his so-called star shadow robe and star shadow hat. He knelt below, anxiously awaiting the arrival of that person, whom these powerful ninjas addressed with such reverence. Vanilla Uzumaki respectfully took a flying thunder god kunai from her ninja tool pouch, infused it with chakra through both hands, and then placed it on the futon in the main seat. Even the well-informed Kakuzu trembled slightly upon seeing the flying thunder god kunai. The flying thunder god technique, researched by the second Hokage Tabarama Senju, and its subsequent user, the yellow flash Minato Namikaze, are renowned figures in the ninja world. With the infusion of chakra, the flying thunder god kunai trembled slightly. A figure appeared out of thin air on the futon in the main seat, holding a specially made kunai in his hand. Lord Shura, Uchiha Hikaru, Kakuzu, Gato, and Uzumaki Kaoru, who was leading Karin, all bowed to the figure. Even Karin clumsily imitated it. Yizing, who was kneeling on the ground below, slowly raised her head with some nervousness and saw the mysterious person wearing a black robe and a white three-eyed fox mask. The Shura, who has risen to prominence in the ninja world in recent months. Even a small ninja village like Hashinobi Village had heard of the deeds of this Lord Shura. He wreaked havoc in Konoha and Kumagakure, yet managed to escape unscathed despite being pursued by these two major ninja villages. Kumagakure even placed a bounty of 70 million ryo on his head at their underground gold exchange. The news of the Grass Ninja Village incident hasn't spread yet, otherwise it would add another achievement to Shura's list. Lord Shura, I am Yizing, the leader of Zingren Village. The old man wisely avoided using the title Xingying and instead bowed deeply to the Lord in submission. Menma looked around and noticed the purple meteorite enshrined in the center of the room. He removed his fox mask, revealing his youthful face. Kakuzu and Kato had never seen Lord Shura's true face before, so they both showed curiosity and surprise. Kato secretly compared Menma, the orphan whom the Lord had ordered him to take in Konoha, and became even more convinced that the orphan named Menma was definitely Lord Shura's child. The resemblance was too striking. From this day forward, Hoshigakure will serve me, Menma said, looking at Yosei kneeling on the ground with an authoritative tone. Yes, sir, Yizing dared not disobey. The entire ninja village couldn't even defeat a single member of the organization, let alone this Shura who was famous throughout the ninja world and had left both major ninja villages helpless. Menma walked up to the meteorite and picked it up. He used his chakra to investigate it. This meteorite is radioactive and can enhance chakra activity, but its reflectivity will gradually erode people's bodies. However, Menma did not destroy it, but instead put it away. Perhaps this meteorite is related to the Otsutsuki clan, who plant trees all over the universe. We should investigate that later. For the next period of time, Menma stayed in Xingnan village and oversaw the village's renovation. Vanilla Uzumaki was appointed as the political advisor to the Star Ninja village, and she carried out sweeping reforms to the village. Hikaru Uchiha served as the Jonin squad leader, responsible for commanding all ninjas and training all the ninjas in the entire Hashigakure village. Kakuzu serves as the captain of the Dark Guard, responsible for reorganizing the Dark Guard and counter-espionage work. Menma gave Kakuzu permission to hunt down anyone who tried to escape Hashigakure. Gato served as the financial advisor and began investigating and compiling information on the financial situation of Hashigakure. Yi Xing served as a construction consultant, assisting the organization in the transformation of Xingnan village. The various supplies brought by Kato also entered the impoverished ninja village of Xingnan, located deep in the mountains. Menma used a big stick to suppress them with force, and carrots to give them some benefits. Through a combination of kindness and severity, the ninjas and villagers of Xingnan village gradually accepted the fact that they were ruled by a powerful ninja. Conquering Hashigakure was only the first step for Menma to unify the ninja world. Please continue reading, please add this to your favorites, please vote for this book, please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter, Chapter 65, Dramatic Changes in the Land of Bears. Chapter 65, Dramatic Changes in the Land of Bears. So, Lady Vanilla, what are the organization's goals? Half a month later, inside the Star Shadow building in the rebuilt Star Ninja Village, Yi Xing voiced his question. At this moment, he was in his office, handling government affairs with Vanilla Uzumaki. On the opposite table, Gato was looking at the statistics of the Star Village's finances, his expression so vicious that he wanted to devour Gato, the former third Star Cage. On the sofa to the side, little Xiangaling was obediently looking at the secret scrolls of the Uzumaki clan, occasionally pouring her mother a cup of tea. Thinking about the changes that have occurred recently, Yi Xing had a strange feeling that she couldn't quite put her finger on. This mysterious and powerful organization, after conquering their Star Ninja Village, implemented policies such as curfews and entry-exit controls, but did not adopt a high-pressure rule over the villagers. On the contrary, Kato's caravans traveled between the capital of the Land of Bears and the Ninja Village, collecting daily necessities for the villagers. They also purchased the herbs the villagers gathered in the forest, the game they captured, and the local specialties they produced, and then transported them out to sell. More than 230 ninjas were also put to training. After a strength test by Uchiha, Hikaru, and Kakuzu, 45 people were rated as Chunin, 5 as Special Jonin, and only 4 people, Akahoshi, Yataka, Shizu, and Yohoshi, were rated as Jonin. The remaining 170-plus people were all ordinary genin, and some of them could only master 2 or 3 minor ninjutsu. After layoffs, the Anbu only had 17 Chunin, 2 Special Jonin, and 2 Jonin. Then, the newly appointed Jonin squad leader, Uchiha Hikaru, and the Anbu captain, Kekudo, put the entire Hashigakure ninja under rigorous training. At the same time, Menma also brought out some D rank, C rank, and even B rank ninjutsu, and built a ninjutsu library. Those ninjas who train hard and achieve excellent results can exchange points and battle merits for rewards. For the ninjas of Hashigakure, who were mostly commoners, this was too tempting. In just half a month, Xingnan village underwent tremendous changes. The ninjas no longer need to train in the meteorite training chamber. This is what Yi Xing has always wanted to change. He is well aware of the side effects of the meteorite cultivation, and there are a small amount of residues in his own body. Many children who cultivated at the same time as him have already died from the side effects of the meteorite cultivation, although they were conquered. However, the ninjas of Hoshigakure did not lose their drive to pursue power. On the contrary, they developed awe and admiration for the powerful ninja who had defeated them that night because they were trained by him. The villagers also developed a favorable impression of the new rulers because their quality of life had improved. The entire village has accepted the fact that they are ruled by a group of powerful ninjas who appeared out of nowhere, and there are even quite a few supporters. So Yi Xing felt very strange. They were the ones who were conquered, so why were the Shura treating them so well? And what was their purpose? To unify the ninja world. Uzumaki Vanilla said without looking up as she handled her official duties. Unify the ninja world? The old man was startled, and the pen in his hand fell to the ground. His Adam's apple bobbed. Although Hoshigakure has always considered itself a ninja village, second only to the 5 great nations, in reality, successive Hoshigakure leaders have all known that their small ninja village is no match for the 5 great nations, let alone the strength of ninja villages like Kusagakure and Aimgakure. If it weren't for the Hell Valley natural barrier, and the fact that most of the Bear Country is forested with a small population, sandwiched between the 2 great powers, the land of Earth and the land of Wind, as a buffer zone, it may have already been invaded by other ninja villages. At the same time, a dramatic change occurred in Xingnan Village, the capital of the Bear Kingdom, Daimyo Prefecture. No, don't kill me, please don't kill me. A dignified and noble man crawled backward in a disgraceful manner. Outside, the blood of more than a dozen samurai and ninjas stained the walls of the daimyo's mansion. Wearing a mask, Uzumaki Menma frowned slightly as he looked at the water stain that had been dragged across the ground. He shot out a kunai, killing the daimyo instantly. Blood mixed with brains flowed onto the bed. Sir, what's the next step? Outside the house, 6 ninjas wearing headbands from the Star Ninja Village knelt on the ground. Uchiha Hikaru stood to the side, his gaze occasionally sweeping over the ninjas and the corpses scattered throughout the daimyo's residence. When her gaze swept over the 6 star ninjas, they all lowered their heads, not daring to meet her eyes. These 6 star ninjas were all chunin who excelled under Uchiha Hikaru's training, and were also fans of Lord Shura, so they were assigned to participate in this mission. The battle merits earned from participating in missions can be exchanged for C rank or even B rank ninjutsu in the village's ninjutsu storehouse, which is too tempting for these ninjas from commoner backgrounds. Proceed according to plan. Leave the women and children alone, kill everyone else, Menma coldly ordered. Yes, the 6 star ninjas immediately set off after receiving the order, scattering in all directions to begin a bloodbath against the nobles of the entire capital. Menma and Uchiha Hikaru jumped to the highest point of Daimyo's residence, looking down at the capital of the Land of Bears, which was situated on a plain and bisected by a river. The entire population of the Bear Kingdom is only about 1 million, but the capital city alone has a population of 120,000. 70% of the population of the Bear Country is concentrated in the western plains, while the central and eastern forests are home to mountain villages with the smallest populations. This damming mansion was actually just a larger courtyard, with no more than 20 houses in total. 6 star ninjas, working in pairs, moved among the rooftops of the Bear Country's capital, purging the nobles of the Bear Country house by house according to the prearranged routes and maps. Over the next few days, Menma's star ninjas carried out a bloodbath against the noble class in various cities of the Land of Bears, completely eradicating the noble class of the entire country. Of course, some nobles with a good reputation among the people would be spared, but their families would not be spared. It is undeniable that there were some good people among these nobles who would do things that violated their class, but they were individuals, and the noble class as a whole could not be good. This upheaval quickly swept across the entire Bear Kingdom, mainly affecting the aristocratic class in various cities, with little impact on the common people. Menma instructed Kato to prepare some people in the group and the Star Ninja Village to take over the cities of the Land of Bears. Through a national investigation of the Land of Bears, he promoted some low-level officials from commoner backgrounds and quickly completed the initial control of this small country with a population of no more than 1 million. But inevitably, some rumors also got out. At the end of Konoha Calendar 54, a dramatic change occurred in the Land of Bears in the western part of the ninja world. It is said that the ninjas of Hoshigakure in the Land of Bears suddenly launched an attack, massacring the nobles of the Land of Bears, including the daimyo, and effectively taking control of the Land of Bears. The news quickly spread to the Land of Earth and the Land of Wind. The daimyo and nobles of both countries took the matter of ninjas slaughtering daimyo very seriously and urgently summoned the cage of their respective ninja villages. Meanwhile, in Konoha village, far away in the Land of Fire, the third Hokage picked up a strange request and frowned in deep thought. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote for this book. Please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Chapter 66, Sending Out Uchiha Shisui. Chapter 66, Sending Out Uchiha Shisui. Inside the Hokage's office, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was staring intently at the scroll in his hand. With a series of regular knocks, Nara Shikaku, with 2 scars on his face and wearing a Jonin vest, pushed open the door and entered. Lord Hokage. Oh, it's Shikaku. You've come at the right time. Take a look at this. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, put down the scroll in his hand and wisps of smoke rose from his pipe. Shikaku walked to the Hokage's desk, picked up the scroll on the table, and began to read it carefully. As his eyes swept over the words, his brows gradually furrowed. Hiruzen Sarutobi added some tobacco to his pipe and continued puffing away. Lord Hokage, how can we verify the authenticity of this request? Shikaku asked his first question after reading the document. The scroll bearing this commission was signed none other than the leader of the Star Ninja Village, the third Hashikage. Yaru, furthermore, it is said that the Land of Bears is in turmoil, and the ninjas of the Star Ninja Village have attacked nobles, including the daimyo of the Land of Bears. If the Star Ninja Village is controlled by a mysterious ninja, as stated in this commission, then are these star ninjas who slaughtered the daimyo subordinates of that mysterious ninja, or are they ninjas from the Star Ninja Village themselves? As the strategist by the side of the third Hokage, Shikaku not only has a high IQ, but also strong strategic thinking and judgment. He served as the leader of the Jonin team for a long time and was also a frontline commander during the Third Shinobi World War. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, as the chief of staff of the Allied Shinobi forces, Shikaku was appointed as the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces after the Fourth Raikage went to support the front lines. He ultimately died in battle from the long-range attack of the Ten-Tails tailed beast ball. In Konoha, Shikaku was undoubtedly a high-ranking figure, and he was qualified to inquire about many kinds of intelligence gathered in the village. Shikaku had naturally heard about the dramatic changes that had recently occurred in the Land of Bears in the western part of the ninja world. It's just that the Land of Bears is located in the remote western part of the ninja world continent, separated from the Land of Fire by several countries, so information transmission is very slow, and Konoha has limited information. Some of the intelligence was even relayed back by spies, planted by Konoha in Iwagakure and Sunagakure. Hiruzen Sarutobi exhaled a puff of smoke and slowly said, "Slaughtering a daimyo is a serious crime of rebellion. The daimyo of Iwagakure and Sunagakure will definitely question us and send ninjas to Kumino-kami and Hoshino-kami to gather intelligence, or even suppress the Hoshino-kami's rebellion. Originally, I didn't want to send ninjas to get involved in matters so far away, but the daimyo has also inquired about it." Upon hearing that it was his own daimyo who had inquired, Shikaku nodded in understanding. Konoha is ultimately just a military organization, and it has to obey the daimyo. "So, who do you plan to send to lead the investigation?" Shikaku pondered. The request for assistance suggests that whether the Star Village is controlled by powerful ninjas or they have rebelled, the enemy's strength is considerable. It would be difficult for an ordinary Chunin to complete the mission. That kid Shisui hasn't been on a mission in a long time, has he? Hiruzen Sarutobi tapped the table lightly with his right hand. You want Uchiha Shisui to lead the team. Shikaku had a deep impression of this somewhat special Uchiha. During the Third Shinobi World War, he commanded troops on the front lines to fight against Kirigakure. Uchiha Shisui earned the title of Shisui of the Body Flicker during the war and made numerous military achievements. However, because he was too young, Shisui was not promoted to Jonin until after the war. I recently heard that Uchiha Shisui is now working for the Konoha Police Department. He rarely goes on missions and mostly mediates conflicts between his colleagues in the police department and the villagers. Shisui's combat strength is definitely not a problem. I suggest adding another sensory ninja and a taijutsu specialist, Shikaku said, offering his opinion. Hiruzen Sarutobi nodded, then let Hyuga Himen and Hayama Hakukumo go together. Hyuga Himen and Hakukumo Hayama were both outstanding ninjas in the Third Shinobi World War. Hyuga Himen, at the age of 15, had already been promoted to Special Jonin, while Hakukumo Hayama, although still a Chunin, was quite skilled in taijutsu and was only one step away from being promoted to Special Jonin. Yes, then I'll go and call the three of them over. Lujiu had no objection to the combination of the three. Uchiha Shisui was the strongest fighter. Hyuga Himen had the strongest reconnaissance ability with his Byakugan, and Shurakumo Hayama was calm, meticulous, and had participated in many battles, possessing strong command and battlefield adaptability. Most importantly, Shisui Uchiha was not as arrogant as other Uchiha. If Hayama Hakun offered an opinion, Shisui, as the team leader, could analyze the pros and cons and decide whether to adopt it. Soon, the three were taken to the Hokage's office. He personally took over this S-rank mission from Hiruzen Sarutobi. After making some preparations, the three of them set off. 2 days later, in the forest west of the Bird Kingdom, 3 figures sped through the trees. This S-rank mission really benefited from your help. Bayan Yeshin, carrying a long sword and with a scar on his right lip, chatted with his 2 teammates. The minimum reward for an S-rank mission is 1 million ryo, and usually only Jonin can accept such missions, let alone this mission to investigate a ninja village. Senior is too kind. Your vacuum sword is praised even by the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. I believe you will be promoted after this mission is completed. Uchiha Shisui turned his head slightly and gave Shurakumo Hayama a sincere smile. The three had fought side by side during the Third Shinobi World War, and given their respective specializations in abilities, they quickly developed a tacit understanding. Uchiha Shisui said to the two, I've heard that there's a meteorite in Hoshigakure that's a treasure coveted by all nations. Haha, that kind of thing. Upon hearing Shisui's question, Hyuga Himen was the first to laugh. Shisui looked at Hinata Himen, a senior who was 2 years older than them, somewhat bewildered. They call it a treasure, but I haven't seen Hoshigakure train many powerful ninjas. Hyuga Himen said slowly to Uchiha Shisui, although their village has Cage, it's just a self-proclaimed title. In terms of combat strength and overall power, Hoshigakure is just a small ninja village. At least Takagakure was valued by the first Hokage and was given a tailed beast. Even Aimgakure produced a strong ninja like Hanzo of the Salamander. As for Hoshigakure, I'm sorry, I haven't heard of it. Hinata Himen's explanation piqued Shurakumo Hayama's curiosity about Hoshigakure. If that star is useless, why was it attacked by a mysterious ninja? Well, we'll find out once we investigate, Hyuga Haito said. The three of them had already arrived at the border of the Land of Bears, and Hyuga Haito activated his Byakugan. Their mission is to investigate the situation in the Land of Bears and the rebellion in the Star Ninja Village. If a mysterious ninja has indeed taken control of the Star Ninja Village, they can engage in battle with him if their strength allows, and help the Star Shadow regain control of the village. If they can complete this mission before the ninjas sent by Iwagakure and Sunagakure, Then Hoshigakure will become an ally of Konoha in the western part of the ninja world, tying down some of the forces of the two great ninja villages for Konoha. End of this chapter, Chapter 67, Burning Escape from Cang. Chapter 67, Burning Escape from Cang, when Uchiha Shisui arrived at the eastern border of the Land of Bears with two teammates, searching for a way to cross the Valley of Hell. In the desert region bordering the Bear Kingdom and the Wind Kingdom, three figures were speeding through the swirling yellow sand. The leading female ninja from Sunagakure was agile, her birch green hair fluttering in the wind, and her long legs kicking up clouds of dust on the sand. Behind her followed two chunin from Sunagakure, dressed in the village's distinctive windproof attire, wearing windproof hats and with purple markings on their faces. Lord Yekura, the Land of Bears is just ahead. A sand ninja saw a light green grove of trees ahead and knew they had reached the border of the Land of Wind. Full speed ahead, Kang's expression was solemn, showing no intention of stopping. The two chunin had no choice but to continue advancing with the jonin who was leading the team. The three figures quickly disappeared into the lush forest. As they went deeper, the surrounding trees grew taller and taller, and the endless yellow sand was completely blocked by the towering ancient trees. As Yekura moved through the forest, her brows furrowed, deep in thought about the task the fourth Kazekage had given her. Because the daimyo of the Land of Bears was slaughtered by the Star Ninja, the entire noble family of the Land of Bears was wiped out in the bloodshed. A few nobles who escaped the massacre sought help from the daimyo of the Land of Wind and the Land of Earth. These noble marriages are prevalent throughout the ninja world. Even in the Land of Bears, with a population of less than 1 million, the daimyo and nobles have a tradition of intermarrying with neighboring countries. This is also an instinct for small countries to survive in the cracks. Upon hearing that the daimyo and nobles of the Kuma Kingdom had been slaughtered by ninjas, the daimyo of the Land of Wind flew into a rage and summoned Rasa, the fourth Kazekage of Sunagakure. Although it was a ninja village from another country that launched the rebellion, the daimyo of the Land of Wind still used this as an excuse to severely criticize Rasa and Sunagakure, and even took the opportunity to reduce the Land of Wind's financial investment in Sunagakure. After being scolded, Rasa returned to Sunagakure, summoned Pakura, and entrusted the task of scouting the Land of Bears and the Star Village to this scorching release ninja. However, Rasa did not give direct instructions on whether to send troops to the Land of Bears to quell the rebellious Star Ninja, but instead let Pakura decide for herself based on the situation. After entering the Land of Bears, Yekura and her two companions first disguised themselves and infiltrated a city in the central part of the Land of Bears near the Star Village, hoping to find out some useful information. As they entered the city gates, the three of them even prepared themselves to witness the city being massacred. However, the crowds coming and going at the city gate surprised Cang and his companions. Ancient cities all had entry and exit taxes, and this was the same in every city in the ninja world. However, the main targets of taxation were merchants, and very little tax was levied on pedestrians entering the city. However, Cang and his two companions discovered that most pedestrians entering the city did not pay taxes, and the guards at the city gates only checked small merchants carrying goods, while ordinary people were allowed to pass at will. Upon entering the city, the sheer scale of its prosperity astonished Yekura and his companions. The streets were bustling with merchants and travelers, and many small vendors set up stalls on both sides of the street to sell their goods. Clearly, this street was the commercial market of the city. This place is completely different from the city I had imagined after the rebellion. Feeling the unusual bustling atmosphere of the city around him, Yekura even suspected that he had unknowingly fallen under the enemy's genjutsu and hurriedly activated his chakra. After finding nothing amiss, Yekura gave a signal to the two chunin beside her. The two chunin nodded in response and began to scatter to gather intelligence. Meanwhile, Yekura arrived at an izakaya Japanese pub in the bustling city. Izakayas, places teeming with all sorts of people, are the easiest places to gather information. However, sifting through the vast amount of information sifted out by drunken patrons to extract valuable intelligence, is a very difficult task for ninjas. After entering the izakaya, Yekura found a corner to sit down, ordered a pot of sake, and began to listen attentively to the chatter and banter of the customers coming and going. I heard that the Kamiju family in Saga Castle was massacred. All their assets were confiscated. That's not all. Yesterday, I met a merchant from Saga Castle who said that they held a public trial for the head of the Kamiju family there. Many victims who had been persecuted by the Kamiju family, resulting in the separation of their wives and children and the destruction of their families, came forward to recount the crimes of the Kamiju family. In the end, the head of the Kamiju family was hanged on the castle gate. Hahaha, this is truly gratifying. When I was a merchant in Saga Castle, I was extorted for a lot of silver by the Kamiju family's dogs. That's not all. I heard that after the assets of those big families in Saga Castle were confiscated, farmers without land can rent these fields from the government for only 10% of the rent. The government even provides low interest or even interest-free loans for farm tools and seeds. 1/10. In the past, noblemen who rented for 50% were considered very kind people. Who is this newly appointed ruler? Why is he treating these farmers so well? It's not just good for farmers, it's good for us merchants too. Haven't you noticed that the city gate tax has been reduced a lot? And as long as your goods are registered in one city, you can be exempt from city gate tax in other cities for a certain period of time with the certificate. The commercial transaction tax is only 13%. Many of those other exorbitant taxes have been abolished. If the new ruler continues this policy, I will support him forever. Hahaha, well said. I wish the whole country were like this. Doing business without fear of being extorted or losing everything if you accidentally anger the local bully. Listening to the discussions of the surrounding guests, Yekang felt a little dizzy. As a ninja, she received combat training from a young age, and her business knowledge was really lacking. But the excitement and anticipation for the future among the travelers drinking and chatting in the izakaya is very infectious. Yekura couldn't understand why, even though the country had suffered a ninja rebellion that killed daimyo and nobles, ordinary people could still celebrate so happily. Just as she was deep in thought, a figure sat down on the stool next to Cang. "Boss, a pot of sake, please." A male voice, clearly that of a young man, came from beside him, causing Cang to turn his head slightly to observe. A black-haired boy with spiky hair, wearing a black coat, sat down next to her. As if noticing Kang's gaze, the boy turned his head and smiled at her. Instantly, Yekura felt a chill run down her spine. This boy is definitely not an ordinary person. Just as Cang was about to draw his weapon and enter combat mode, he heard the other party say softly, "This is a busy city. You don't want to kill many innocent, ordinary people, do you?" Upon hearing this, Yekura's hand, which was already resting on her ninja tool pouch at the base of her thigh, suddenly froze. Her muscles were tense as she stared intently at the boy beside her. Her intuition told her that this man was the mastermind behind the upheaval in the Land of Bears and the rebellion in the Star Village. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote for this book. Please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter, Chapter 68, A Secret Rendezvous with Yekura. Chapter 68, A Secret Rendezvous with Yekura clickbait title. Yekura certainly wouldn't let the lives and deaths of ordinary people tie her down. However, as ninjas from a great nation's ninja village, avoiding involving civilians in war is a fundamental principle of their upbringing. Even in wars between major powers, efforts are made to avoid involving ordinary people. During the Second Shinobi World War, on the battlefield of the Land of Rain, amidst the chaos of battles between several factions, 2 Konoha ninjas entered Nagato's house in search of food. They mistakenly identified Nagato's family, who were hiding in the shadows, as enemy ninjas and killed Nagato's parents. Only after discovering that they were just ordinary civilians did they realize their mistake and feel deep remorse. He didn't even intend to kill Nagato to silence him completely. Instead, he knelt down and apologized to Nagato. It is clear that for most ninjas, especially those from major powers, the education they receive is that attacking ordinary civilians is a shameful act. Only those ninjas who have fallen into the status of wandering ninjas and rogue ninjas would kill ordinary people at will to gain a twisted sense of pleasure and superiority. But what puzzled Yekang even more at this moment was that the mastermind behind the upheaval in the land of bears and the rebellion in the Star Village had found him so easily and seemed not to intend to take action immediately. What exactly is he? Yekura's deep brown eyes were filled with deep vigilance. Meanwhile, Menma, sitting next to Yekura, was also observing the tall, beautiful female ninja from Sunagakure with great interest. He originally thought that Yekura was dead when he was recruiting members of the organization, that she had died in the Third Shinobi World War. Pakura was betrayed by the Sand Village's higher-ups as a condition for a ceasefire with Kirigakure. But it seems that this timeline is not the case. If Pakura hadn't died in the Third Shinobi World War, that means he died at the hands of Buljaku. Menma vaguely remembers that Yekura's first appearance was in the movie where Haruko was the villainous boss, but he can't remember what it was called. The general plot is that Haruko collected the bloodline limit ninjas from the 5 great ninja villages and used the Kiriga no Jutsu to integrate them into his own body, thus granting them the corresponding bloodline limit. Among the bloodline limit ninjas captured by Haruko were Kari, the explosion release ninja from Iwagakure, Pakura, the scorching release ninja from Sunagakure, Chukichi, the dark release ninja from Kirigakure, and Troy, the magnet release ninja from Kumagakure. Finally, Haruko planned to capture Kakashi in order to obtain Kakashi's Sharingan, but was then caught up and defeated by Naruto Uzumaki. That old man Kishimoto? Menma thought to himself. He crammed movie characters into the manga, messed up the timeline, and even gave them different bloodline limits and ninjutsu. If Yekura is still alive, that means they were probably captured and killed by Haruko later, and then absorbed into Kira. Menma had almost forgotten where Haruko was hiding. After his sensory abilities detected ninjas from the land of wind and the land of earth entering the land of bears, he focused his attention on Pakura and took the opportunity to mark her chakra. If possible, then follow Yekura to find Haruko. Here's your sake, sir. The izakaya owner brought over the sake at just the right moment. Give it to this young lady. Menma didn't drink. All right, miss, please enjoy your meal. The innkeeper tactfully put down the wine pot, but also placed the wine cups aside. Cang looked at the spiky-haired boy with a face full of questions, completely unable to understand what this guy's purpose was. What exactly is your purpose in controlling the massacre of the daimyo by the Star Ninja Village? After the shopkeeper left, Yekura picked up the sake bottle, poured out a small cup, and took a small sip. Pakura, a Sand Village ninja skilled in poisons, also had expertise in both poisons and medicine. As a Jonin of Sand Village, she carried with her a strategic resource, a universal antidote specially made by Granny Chiyo. Therefore, she could tell whether the drink was poisoned with just a sip. It's just to get rid of some bloodsuckers, Menma said lazily, resting his chin on his hand. You'll only plunge this country into chaos. Countless people will lose their lives because of this, Cang retorted sharply. She tasted that the wine was just ordinary sake and not poisoned, which made her even more suspicious of the boy's kindness. Menma smiled slightly and gestured for Yekang to look outside. But look, after these blood-sucking worms were cleared out, everyone was cheering. Outside the izakaya was a bustling city, and amidst the clamor of voices, bursts of laughter and chatter occasionally drifted into the izakaya, leaving Yekura speechless for a moment. In short, I will find a way to stop you. If you are willing to stop now, Sunagakure can offer you protection. Yekura suddenly changed his tone, actually trying to recruit the mysterious boy in front of him. Hahaha. Menma couldn't help but burst into hearty laughter when he heard Yekura representing Sunagakure to offer him amnesty. In another timeline, Pakura, betrayed by the Sunagakure leadership, ends up recruiting other ninjas for the Sunagakure. Then let's see who's the best. Kang downed the sake in his cup in one gulp, got up and left. Menma called over the shopkeeper, left some silver, and then followed Kang out. "Keep it up, young man." A slightly tipsy guest raised his glass to offer his sincere blessings to Menma. The other guests joined in the commotion. Even the boss watched the two young people leave with a smile. Menma followed Yekura out of the city, speeding through the forest one after the other. When they arrived at a river valley, Kang stopped on the opposite side of the river, turned slightly, and looked at the spiky-haired boy who was following behind and had stopped on the other side of the river. Yekura took out a kunai from her ninja tool pouch and gripped it tightly. Sunagakyur Yekura. This kind of one-on-one duel, where they announce each other's names, is quite ceremonial. Menma casually crossed his arms behind his head and said, "You can call me Shura." When Yekura heard the name Shura, her breath caught in her throat. Her pupils contracted slightly, and she looked at the spiky-haired boy opposite her with even more apprehension. "You're the Shura who caused chaos in Konoha and Kumagakyur and had a bounty of 70 million ryo." Kang was surprised that Shura was so young as a 15-year-old boy. This year's biggest events in the ninja world, besides Orochimaru's defection from Konoha, was the feat of this mysterious ninja simultaneously provoking two major ninja villages. It's ironic that Konoha and Kumagakyur, who were originally at war, shook hands and made peace after being attacked by the same mysterious ninja. As for the incident in Kusagakyur, the Kusagakyur village has blocked the information. Although the other ninja villages have obtained some information, they have not spread it further. Sunagakyur is the weakest of the 5 great nations, and its military budget is cut every year, so its intelligence gathering is limited. Even an ordinary jonin like Pakura would find it difficult to know this kind of information. So how does Ms. Yekura intend to stop me? Menma's lips curled up slightly, and his aura suddenly changed. A tense atmosphere instantly filled the air, as if swords were about to be drawn. End of this chapter. Chapter 69, King Kong Blockade. Chapter 69, King Kong Blockade. The northeastern part of the Bear Country. Uchiha Shisui, Shirakumo Heiama, and Hyuga Himen traveled north along the edge of Hell Valley. They were looking for a narrow passage through Hell Valley. Soon, thanks to Hyuga Himen's Byakugan, the three found a relatively narrow spot. Beian Yeshin took out a bundle of hooks from the storage scroll. "Let me do it." Uchiha Shisui took the grappling hook and aimed at a large tree opposite Hell Valley. His 3-tamo Sharingan was suddenly activated. Call out. The grappling hook shot out like an arrow, piercing precisely through a giant tree 200 meters away across Hell Valley. With a taut, buzzing sound, the rope stretched across the abyss where poisonous mist surged. Beian Yeshin tied the other end to a large tree on this side, and then Uchiha Shisui stepped onto the rope first, held his breath to avoid inhaling the poison gas, and quickly passed through the poison-filled Hell Valley. As he approached the other side, Uchiha Shisui drew his kunai, instantly moved forward, and his 3-tamo Sharingan vigilantly surveyed his surroundings. Only after confirming there were no ambushes or traps did Shisui give a hand signal to his teammates, Hyuga Kazuma and Shirokumo, who were opposite Hell Valley. The two then used ropes to cross the poisonous Hell Valley. Cough, cough. As soon as he arrived at the territory of the Bear Country opposite Hell Valley, Shirokumo Heiama couldn't help but cough twice, feeling alarmed by the trace amount of poison gas he had just inhaled. "Senior Beian, are you all right?" Uchiha Shisui asked with concern. Hyuga Himen also used his Byakugan to check on Shurakumo Heiama's condition. After confirming that he was all right, he nodded to Shisui. "It's not a problem, let's keep going." Beian Yeshin shook his head and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. The three of them sped through the treetops in a triangular formation. Uchiha Shisui was at the very front. Hyuga Himen had activated his Byakugan and was positioned on the right side of the group, while Shurakumo Heiama was on the left side. The three hadn't gone far when Hyuga Himen suddenly shouted a warning. "There's something up ahead." Uchiha Shisui landed on a treetop, and Shurakumo Heiama also stopped. Wow, such a massive amount of chakra. When Hyuga Haito stopped, his Byakugan eyes, veins bulging, were filled with shock. Direction? Uchiha Shisui asked, turning his head. We're to the northwest, 2 kilometers away, Hyuga Haman quickly reported. As a special Jonin of the Hyuga clan, his Byakugan reconnaissance at this distance is already quite excellent. The 3 cautiously and warily made their way to the northwest. Soon they arrived at a border area where the land of bears and the land of earth meet. On the territory of the land of bears, 3 Iwagakure ninja are fighting 2 women. Uchiha Shisui and the other 2 hid in the shadows, watching the center of the battlefield with disbelief. 3 golden chains behind a red-haired woman danced like living things, binding 2 Iwa ninjas in midair, while a third was pinned to a tree by a chain piercing his chest. Not far away, a black-haired girl stood by with her arms crossed, watching coldly. Shu coughed up a mouthful of blood, staring in shock at the red-haired woman opposite him, his eyes filled with shock as he looked at the golden chain that had pierced his abdomen and pinned him to the tree. Explosion release, landmine fist. Despite the excruciating pain piercing his abdomen, Kari concentrated his chakra in his right fist and swung it at the golden chain. Boom, instantly, the golden chains that were touched exploded, and Kari broke free of his restraints and staggered to the ground. The golden chain that remained on his body gradually dissipated after losing chakra, but blood gushed from the hole in his abdomen. He was panting heavily, no longer showing any contempt for the 2 women before him. Their red hair reminded him of the Uzumaki clan. Once renowned in the ninja world for their sealing techniques, they are actually remnants of the Uzumaki clan. Kari gasped for breath, looking up at his 2 teammates bound by the Vajra seal, pondering how to rescue them from these 2 mysterious ninjas. Captain, run, don't worry about us. One of the bound Iwagakure ninja roared. Send the intelligence back to the village. Shut up, Shu gritted his teeth, enduring the excruciating pain, and suddenly launched an attack on the black-haired girl beside him. As a member of the demolition team and a Jonin ninja from Iwagakure, Kari, deeply influenced by the will of stone, did not want to abandon his 2 teammates. So he prepared to attack the black-haired girl, who was watching from the sidelines. Because the black-haired girl looked much younger than the red-haired woman, and her relaxed and carefree demeanor, seemingly without any combat vigilance, gave Hunter the feeling that he had found an opening. Foolish, the black-haired girl snorted and lunged at Shu as well. Hunting gathered explosion release chakra in his fist, attempting to deliver a heavy blow to his opponent with explosion release. He was quite confident in his combination of physical skills and explosion release. As long as it was a close-range attack and he hit the enemy with his fist, explosion release would be triggered, and the enemy would be hit by a huge explosion as if they had stepped on a landmine. This trick never fails. However, just as the 2 were about to exchange blows, Kari saw a pair of scarlet Sharingan eyes beneath the girl's flowing black hair. For a moment, Hunty's body froze. Uchiha Hikaru had already closed in and delivered a powerful whip kick that sent his opponent flying. Cough! The excruciating pain of crashing into the rocks broke Gari out of the illusion. Leaning against a boulder, Gari felt as if several bones in his body were broken. He looked at the blood he had spurted out on the ground and struggled to look up at the black-haired girl opposite him. The Uchiha clan, it's the Uchiha clan. Terrified eyes filled Kari's eyes. When fighting against the Uchiha clan, you must never look them in the eye. This is something that every ninja in the ninja world who has been on the battlefield has been instructed to do. Kari had fought against the Uchiha ninjas of Konoha during the Third Shinobi World War and was well aware of the clan's terrifying fighting power. In a one-on-one situation between ninjas of the same level, he is no match for his opponent at all. The Uchiha clans, Kari looked at the black-haired girl in front of him. The Uzumaki clan, he glanced at the red-haired woman not far away, his expression full of astonishment. What exactly happened in the Hidden Star Village and the Land of Bears? Still not skilled enough. The red-haired woman sighed softly, and another golden chakra chain extended, binding the incapacitated Kari. The adamantine lock is not only a weapon, but also a sealing barrier. The number of chakra chains one can unleash is closely related to one's own strength. As a beginner, Vanilla Whirlpool can barely master 3 chakra chains. Wait, someone's here. Vanilla Uzumaki, who was binding and sealing the 3 of them together with a barrier, suddenly sensed something and immediately looked in one direction. Uchiha Hikaru instantly raised his hand, and several shurikens shot in that direction. Upon being discovered in the forest, Uchiha Shisui hastily threw out several shuriken to parry the attack. Amidst the clanging and clattering of metal, Uchiha Shisui suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. The black-haired girl charged towards him like a cannonball. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote for this book. Please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Chapter 70, Uchiha Shisui vs Uchiha Hikaru. Chapter 70, Uchiha Shisui vs Uchiha Hikaru. As Uchiha Hikaru charged forward, he raised his left hand, and a shuriken shot out through the air. The shuriken suddenly split in midair, turning into more than a dozen shuriken, blocking all of Uchiha Shisui's escape routes. What? Seeing that the shuriken throwing technique thrown by the opponent had the characteristics of the Uchiha school, Uchiha Shisui dared not be careless and formed hand seals. Phantom instant technique. In an instant, Shisui's figure began to distort and blur, and several phantom images appeared around him. These phantom figures swung their kunai precisely to block the incoming shuriken, then switched from defense to offense, charging directly at Uchiha Hikaru. Clone Jutsu. When Uchiha Hikaru saw so many clones catching the shuriken she threw, he initially thought it was a ninjutsu like the clone jutsu. But when she swung her kunai to fight them, she discovered that these illusory figures had no physical form. Just as Uchiha Hikaru was wondering what kind of ninjutsu this was, she sensed danger from behind and kicked back. It landed squarely on a phantom that had vanished in an instant. The solidity he felt under his feet told Uchiha Hikaru that this was neither an illusion nor a clone. Uchiha brats. Uchiha Hikaru became interested when he caught sight of the 3-tamo Sharingan eyes swirling in the pupils of these phantoms. Her black pupils suddenly changed, and her 3-tamo Sharingan began to spin rapidly, instantly capturing these fleeting afterimages. At the same time, they saw through the techniques of these instantaneous illusions. Uchiha Hikaru flashed past several phantom attacks like a ghost, his figure suddenly blurring. The next second, Uchiha Hikaru appeared in front of a teleportation phantom not far away. To the astonishment of the other party, a powerful kick struck him squarely in the chest. Bang! With this blow, Uchiha Shisui's chest caved in, and he was kicked several meters away, crashing into a large tree. Cough, cough, Uchiha Shisui coughed up a mouthful of blood, and the afterimages around him disappeared. Why do you have? Shisui struggled to sit up, looking at the black-haired girl opposite him with shock in his eyes. Beneath her flowing long hair, a pair of scarlet Sharingan eyes were coldly staring at him. This girl, who looked only a few years older than him, was also from the Uchiha clan. It was precisely these 3-tamo Sharingan that saw through his proud body flicker technique. I thought it was some kind of clone or illusion technique, but it turns out to be the body flicker technique. Uchiha Hikaru raised his head and slowly approached the injured Shisui. Your instantaneous movement technique has been developed to its limit. You can use the illusions created by instantaneous movement to launch physical attacks, but when attacked, you turn into a phantom to evade the attack. Your real body is also hidden in these instantaneous movement illusions, making it a mix of truth and falsehood. Uchiha Hikaru commented on Shisui's body flicker technique. This made Shisui feel deeply wary of this Uchiha clansman he had never heard of before. Konoha Jonin, Uchiha Shisui. Shisui clutched his chest, his ribs broken, and gasped for breath as he questioned, "Are you also from the Uchiha clan? Why have I never seen you before?" Faced with Shisui's questioning, Uchiha Hikaru's previously somewhat appreciative expression immediately fell. "You Uchiha brat, you can call me Nameless." Uchiha Hikaru looked arrogantly at Shisui in front of him. "Call out." Before she could finish speaking, several wind blades suddenly attacked from behind her, vacuum sword. Having lurked for some time, Shiryuki Hayama suddenly attacked, unleashing several wind blades from his ninja sword towards the girl. Boom! Just as Bayan Yesen thought his sneak attack had succeeded, the black-haired girl burst into red and black flames, forming a wall of fire behind her like a living thing, which directly swallowed all the incoming wind blades. Seeing this, Shirakumo Hayama gritted his teeth and wanted to continue the attack. Konoha style sword technique. Shirakumo Hayama brandished his ninja sword and attacked Uchiha Hikaru from behind. At the same time, Hyuga Hinata, who had been hiding in the forest, suddenly appeared from another direction, his Byakugan wide open, his palm forming a fist, and launched a combined attack with Shirakumo Hayama. However, upon seeing the dark red flames, Shisui was horrified and shouted at the two, "Retreat." He didn't even have time to call out their names, because the Uchiha clan's fighting instincts told him that this red and black flame was terrifying. Shirakumo Hayama and Hyuga Himen also noticed something was wrong. The black flames seemed rather strange. Just as the two were about to retreat, they discovered that the black-haired girl protected by the wall of fire had vanished. "Damn it!" Hyuga Himen's Byakugan exclaimed in surprise as a kunai was already upon him, aimed straight at his face. Hinata Himen quickly turned his head, and a kunai grazed his face, leaving a bloody mark. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shirakumo Hayama was suddenly grabbed by the head by Uchiha Hikaru, who appeared in front of him in an instant and slammed hard into the ground. Boom! A large crater was smashed into the ground, and the surrounding soil was cracked like a spider web, with the ninja sword rolling to the side. Bayan Yesen also fainted. "Shisui, who is she?" Hyuga Himen, who had escaped death, came to Uchiha Shisui's side, looking at those Sharingan eyes that he knew all too well, and asked with trembling hands. "Ah, without a doubt. It's the Uchiha bloodline that has been lost to the outside world." Shisui watched as the black-haired girl grabbed the lifeless Shirakumo Hayama with one hand and threw him on the ground like trash. Faced with this powerful enemy, Hyuga Haido also felt an unprecedented crisis. As one of the two great clans of Konoha, the Hyuga clan had a very deep understanding of the Uchiha clan. Even during Hyuga Himen's time at the Ninja Academy and the Third Shinobi World War, many of his classmates and comrades were Uchiha, and he was deeply aware of the clan's formidable fighting power. Therefore, after confirming that the opponent was a member of the Uchiha clan, Hyuga Himen tried his best not to look into the opponent's eyes, nameless. Uchiha Shisui, enduring the pain of 2 broken ribs in his chest, shouted at the girl in front of him, "I don't know how you ended up abroad, but our Uchiha clan has joined Konoha. You can come back. Come home." It must be said that Shisui valued his family and village so much that even when faced with an unknown Uchiha clansman, he still wanted to persuade him to return. "Go home," Uchiha Hikaru scoffed dismissively, as if he had heard a bad joke. "I once regarded the Uchiha as my only home and support, but I was imprisoned as a weapon. During my time in the Uchiha clan, I never felt any so-called family affection. My clan abandoned me for so many years and never thought of looking for me, but now they want me to go back." Uchiha Hikaru recalled the hundreds of years he was sealed underground and shrouded in darkness. No one came looking for her. The Uchiha clan acted as if she were already dead. Until that figure appeared, rescuing her from the boundless darkness. Having already decided to stay with that boy forever, Uchiha Hikaru now only felt hatred in his eyes towards the Uchiha clan. "In that case, I have no choice but to find a way to bring you back." Shisui's 3-tamo Sharingan suddenly twisted, turning into a kaleidoscope pattern like a shuriken. At this point, Shisui still thought that the Uchiha opposite him was just an ordinary 3-tamo Sharingan. End of this chapter. Chapter 71, The Beating from Grandma. Chapter 71, The Beating from Grandma. Manjikaiwu. Uchiha Hikaru stared at the Manjikaiwu Sharingan blooming in Shisui's eyes, and instantly understood what his opponent was relying on. Even in the Warring States period when she lived, Uchiha clan members who could evolve the Manjikaiwu Sharingan were extremely rare. This is why her clansmen were both shocked and terrified when she evolved the Manjikaiwu Sharingan at the young age of 12. What is shocking is that the Manjikaiwu Sharingan has appeared in a teenage girl, and what is frightening is the power that this girl has mastered. I'll hold her off for a bit. You find a way to rescue Senior Beian. Taking advantage of a lull in the battle, Uchiha Shisui lowered his voice and said to Hyuga Himen beside him, "Remember, retreat immediately after rescuing him." Although Shisui possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan, the opposing side also had a red-haired female ninja who was holding 3 Iwagakure ninja captive not far away, observing the battlefield. Shisui speculated that the mastermind behind the upheaval in the Land of Bears and the rebellion in the Star Village must be an extraordinary powerhouse, capable of commanding the bloodline of the Uchiha clan to serve him. Therefore, he just wanted to get the information back to the village as soon as possible. "And what about you?" Hyuga Himen, clutching his bleeding wound, hurriedly applied a band-aid. "I have my own way of escaping. Your mission is to rescue Senior Beian." Uchiha Shisui emphasized the word mission in his tone. Hinata Haido's Byakugan showed a deep solemnity, and he nodded. The mission to investigate the Star Ninja Village has failed. They didn't even get close to the village. They encountered these 2 mysterious enemies as soon as they entered the Land of Bears. Moreover, the 3 of them were held off by a single opponent, and even Shurakumo Hayama, who possessed Jonin-level Taijutsu skills, was no match for him. Their fates are still unknown. Having participated in the brutal Third Shinobi World War, Hyuga Himen clearly recognized the gap in strength between himself and his opponent, and knew that staying would only cause trouble for Shisui and restrict his actions. At this moment, the only thing he could do was seize the opportunity to rescue his unconscious companion. After finalizing the tactical arrangements, Uchiha Shisui nodded slightly to Hyuga Hikaru, then transformed into a blur and rushed towards Uchiha Hikaru. "Fire release, Phoenix Flower Claw Red." Shisui waved his left hand, and several shuriken wrapped in the flames of the phoenix flower flew out. Uchiha Hikaru calmly threw out several shuriken to block the flaming shuriken. The crisp sound of metal clashing echoed across the battlefield. This attack was merely a distraction to stop the water. The next moment, Shisui activated the phantom body flicker technique again, and the 6 shadowy figures formed a triangular attack, launching a fierce assault on Uchiha Hikaru. "Show me your true skills. If that's all you've got, I won't hold back." Uchiha Hikaru had already seen through the secrets of the phantom body flicker technique. "You're an Uchiha too, you know the same technique won't work on Uchiha." With a few punches and kicks, Uchiha Hikaru shattered the afterimages that rushed towards him and charged straight toward Shisui's main body. "Then let me show you the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan." With Shisui's shout, the green Susanoo rose from the ground. This green giant, consisting only of the upper body, enveloped Shisui, and the 4 pairs of armor plates on his chest opened to reveal the orange Magatama on his chest. Susanoo 99. In an instant, countless green chakra arrows shot out from the Magatama in the green giant's chest, pouring down like a torrential rain. I said Uchiha Hikaru's crimson 3-tamo Sharingan converged, blooming with Mangekyo Sharingan patterns, and dark red chakra erupted like a volcanic eruption, condensing into a physical form around his body. "If that's all you've got, I won't hold back." A pair of dark red wings blocked the way, deflecting all the arrows flying in the air. How is this possible? Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan stared in shock at the Susanoo that was gradually taking shape opposite him, his pupils trembling. In the girl's solemn eyes, a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan shone with dazzling light. Uchiha Hikaru stood inside the helmet of the perfect Susanoo, supported by the red giant, and manipulated the red giant to draw the chakra sword. It struck down with the force of thunder. Uchiha Shisui hastily manipulated the green giant to raise the spiral sword in his hand to block. Bang! 2 terrifying forces collided violently, and the shockwave instantly swept across the entire area. Amidst flying sand and stones, the forest within a radius of 100 meters was reduced to ruins in an instant. This! Hyuga Himen seized the opportunity and quickly arrived at the side of the unconscious Shirakumo Hayama, carrying him on his back. As he was about to leave, he saw this terrifying scene, the Uchiha clan's Susanoo. He dared not delay and fled in panic in the direction they had come from, carrying Shirokumo Hayama on his back. In the center of the battlefield, Uchiha Shisui, who had just been full of confidence, was being beaten by Grandma. Uchiha Hikaru's complete Susanoo was like an adult, while Uchiha Shisui's green giant was only in its second stage. Compared to the dark red giant, it was like a child and was defeated step by step. The red giant wielded a massive chakra sword, swinging and slashing down relentlessly, each strike carrying an overwhelming force. Shisui's green giant only had a second form, and it was clear that he had only recently awakened the kaleidoscope, so he could only barely maintain it and was beaten badly. The two giants fought fiercely in the forest, destroying countless trees in their wake. The wild beasts in the forest had never seen such a terrifying scene and fled in panic. "Who are you?" Blood tears streamed down Shisui's Sharingan eyes, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. Such a powerful Uchiha clan, they couldn't possibly remain unknown. They couldn't possibly be abandoned by their clan. "I told you. My name is Mume of the Uchiha clan." Uchiha Hikaru became increasingly angry as he thought about it, manipulating the red giant to once again wield the chakra sword. As the ultimate weapon of the Uchiha clan, she was stripped of her original name and given the name Nameless by the Uchiha clan. She was sealed away for hundreds of years without anyone caring about her, and her descendants knew nothing about her. This feeling of being forgotten deeply pierced Uchiha Hikaru's heart. Clang, the Crimson Giant's attacks grew increasingly fierce, and the green spiral sword was now covered with spiderweb-like cracks. That's the only way. Shisui finally realized the gap in strength between himself and his opponent. If he continues to fight using Susanoo like this, he will eventually be defeated. Nameless, Shisui looked up at the dark red giant and shouted. Above the dark red giant's head, Uchiha Hikaru lowered his head, their Sharingan eyes meeting. Kato Matsukami, Radiance. Shisui's Manjikaiwu Sharingan emitted a golden light, pulling Uchiha Hikaru's spirit into the Genjutsu space. This is a dark, desolate desert, where a setting sun is slowly sinking. Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Hikaru, having both lost their Susanoo, stood in the desert, their eyes meeting. "Here I can control everything." Behind Uchiha Shisui, in the crimson blood moon, the Manjikaiwu Sharingan, shaped like a shuriken, was blooming. But before Shisui could finish speaking, the illusion space trembled violently behind Uchiha Hikaru. A red moon etched with the Manjikaiwu Sharingan rose. How is this possible? This was the third time Shisui had been shocked today. His kaleidoscope eye technique was actually broken. The opponent's eye power was far superior to his. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my right eye, and the illusion space collapsed. The moment the two emerged from the illusion space, Uchiha Shisui saw with horror through his remaining right eye that the Uchiha girl was standing in front of him at some point. His slender fingers were deeply embedded in his left eye socket. "What?" As his fingers twitched, Shisui let out a shrill scream as his bright red Manjikaiwu Sharingan was gouged out. Shisui staggered backward. The blood hole in his left eye was shocking, and his right eye was also bleeding tears from overuse of his pupil power. His whole body trembled violently due to the intense pain and exhaustion of his pupils. "Your eyes are beautiful." Uchiha Hikaru held up the blood-stained eyeball, playing with it, a slight smile playing on his lips. He will definitely like this gift. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote for this book. Please give it a monthly pass. New book stats are very important, especially for those who are still reading. Please try to scroll to the last page. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Chapter 72, Shisui and -039's Disarrayed Escape. Chapter 72, Shisui's Disarrayed Escape. Uchiha Shisui, who had lost his left eye, was drenched in cold sweat. Facing Uchiha Hikaru, who was closing in step by step, he felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. Even during the Third Shinobi World War, when fighting against ninjas from enemy countries, and even when facing Fugaku Uchiha, the head of the Uchiha clan, he had never felt such a powerful sense of oppression. This sense of oppression comes not only from overwhelming strength, but also from a deep-seated fear in one's bloodline. His ancestors were terrified of this power. If the enemy in front of him wasn't a young girl, Shisui would almost believe that Madara Uchiha, who was once known as the Shura of the ninja world, had been resurrected. From now on, you'd better stay here obediently. Uchiha Hikaru's voice was cold as he slowly approached Shisui, who was covering his left eye, intending to leave him in Hashigakure. As an Uchiha who had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, Shisui's combat power was definitely at the cage level. Moreover, Uchiha Hikaru keenly sensed that this person's Mangekyo Sharingan techniques were definitely not limited to the genjutsu space he had just used. Within the illusionary space of Kato Matsukami, Radiance, Uchiha Hikaru could sense that the other party possessed very powerful ocular power. This power of the eye is second only to his own, engraved Tsukuyomi. So it's best not to let this guy go back. As the nameless figure drew closer, radiating killing intent and oppressive aura, Shisui knew that if he didn't find a way to retreat, he would likely become a prisoner. However, his opponent was also an Uchiha, who saw through his phantom body flicker technique and whose combat power was far superior to his. How can we retreat? Shisui's vision was gradually covered by blood, and his only remaining right eye suddenly saw a blurry red figure in the distance. That is, Shisui endured the pain of losing his left eye, his blood-stained hands quickly forming hand seals. Shadow clone technique. 2 plumes of smoke exploded on either side of Shisui, and the 2 shadow clones began to charge forward the instant they appeared. However, the 2 shadow clones were not targeting Uchiha Hikaru in front of them, but rather a red-haired woman who was watching the battle from a distance, and was also using the adamantine sealing chains to bind and seal 3 Iwagakure ninja. You bastard! Uchiha Hikaru was furious when he saw the 2 shadow clones of the other party bypass him and rush towards Uzumaki Vanilla. Vanilla Uzumaki's overall strength was only at the Chunin level. However, by using the Uzumaki clan's newly learned secret techniques and launching a surprise attack, she managed to tie up 1 Jonin and 2 Chunin from Iwagakure. But supporting 3 chakra chains was already her limit. It would be very dangerous if Uchiha Shisui got close to you. Without hesitation, Uchiha Hikaru abandoned his plan to capture Uchiha Shisui and instantly intercepted the 2 shadow clones. Zhai Shui's strategy of besieging Wei to rescue Zhao was indeed very clever. He made the right bet, taking advantage of the moment when the enemy reinforcements arrived. Shisui pulled out several smoke bombs from his ninja tool pouch and threw them violently to the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The burst of thick fog instantly obscured the entire battlefield. Having just dealt with Shisui's 2 shadow clones, Uchiha Hikaru focused his attention again, trying to find Shisui's figure, only to discover that he had already disappeared into the dense forest. Nameless, are you all right? Uzumaki Kasugai, having bound the 3 unconscious Iwagakure ninja with chakra chains, approached and said apologetically, "I'm sorry. It's all because I was too weak, allowing them to." "It's not your fault." Uchiha Hikaru raised his hand to stop Uzumaki Kaoru from speaking. The opponent is a very strong Uchiha, not an ordinary Jonin. After saying that, Uchiha Hikaru looked at the 3 Iwagakure ninjas, who were tied up and left the Tsukuyomi mark on them. The Sharingan pattern of Uchiha Hikaru appeared on the backs of the hands of the 3 Iwagakure ninjas, then slowly faded into their skin. This Tsukuyomi can manipulate and control a target regardless of distance, and absorb the opponent's chakra for one's own use. Even in the game Ultimate Ninja Storm, the villainous boss used Hikaru Uchiha's 2-eye techniques, Tsukuyomi and 8,000 spears, to create a chakra network, thereby controlling many ninjas in the ninja world, including Naruto Uzumaki. Moreover, this 8,000 spears chakra network can not only transfer the chakra of target A to itself, but also transfer the chakra of target A to target B, target C, target D, and so on, forming a vast chakra network. Shouldn't we chase after him? If we just let him take the information back, it will cause trouble for the adults. Vanilla Uzumaki looked worriedly at the smoke gradually dissipating from the battlefield, revealing the forest that had been mostly destroyed. "It's all right with Menma and me joining forces. we can easily sweep through the entire ninja world. Uchiha Hikaru crossed his arms, full of arrogance. That boy named Shisui is probably the strongest member of the Uchiha clan in this era. The Uchiha clan's ability to awaken the Mangekyou Sharingan sealed their tragic fate. Not to mention, he also lost one of his Mangekyou Sharingan eyes. The eastern side of Hell Valley, filled with poisonous gas. Hinata Himen carried Shirakumo Hayama on his back and ran wildly, using the grappling hooks they had set up to cross Hell Valley. After escaping to this place, Hyuga Himen placed the still unconscious Shirakumo Hayama under a tree, opened his Byakugan wide, and anxiously waited while looking at the opposite side of Hell Valley. Sweat trickled down his forehead, mixing with the blood seeping from the bandage on his wound, leaving a bloody trail on his face. The enemy we just fought was an Uchiha, and a very strong one at that. Hyuga Himen recalled the battle with lingering fear. He didn't even get to exchange a single blow with his opponent before being forced back by the kunai thrown by the opponent, and even suffered a wound on his face. However, Hinata couldn't understand why there were Uchiha clansmen who had wandered outside the village. Shouldn't they all be in the village? Moreover, even Shisui was no match for the enemy. That kind of power. Thinking back to that fleeting glimpse of the two giants fighting in the forest when he was fleeing in a sorry state with Beiyan Yesen on his back, Hyuga Himen felt a chill run down his spine, and his heart remained unsettled for a long time. Such terrifying power is hidden within the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. And then I look at my own eye rolling. Suddenly, Hyuga Himen, who was deep in thought, looked up abruptly, and a familiar figure appeared at the edge of his Byakugan's field of vision. Before long, the battered and bruised Uchiha Shisui rushed out of the forest and quickly approached Hyuga Himen using his grappling hook. Shisui, Hinata exclaimed in delight, only to find that Shisui was not only covered in injuries, but also had several bloody marks on his face, and his left eye was sunken in. Through his Byakugan observation, Hyuga Hinata was even more horrified to discover that Shisui's left eye was gone. "Run!" Uchiha Shisui shouted hoarsely, his expression extremely tense, as if countless hellish demons were chasing him from behind. Hyuga Himen hurriedly carried Shirakumo Hayama on his back, and the two fled eastward in a disheveled state. End of this chapter, Chapter 73, Uchiha Hikaru & 039's gift. Chapter 73, Uchiha Hikaru's gift. Cough, 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 cough. In the pitch-black cave, a heart-wrenching cough suddenly rang out. Bai Yunai struggled to open his eyes, feeling as if a 1,000-pound boulder was pressing on his chest, making it hard to breathe, yet it ached and itched, and he couldn't stop coughing. In a daze, a figure in the darkness stepped forward and put a pill into his mouth. "Swallow slowly," Hinata Himen's voice came from beside him. Once the medicine took effect, Bai Unieshin felt a little better. He panted and looked around the cave. The cave was lit only by the faint light of a single candle. Hyuga Himen's face still bore traces of blood, while opposite him stood Uchiha Shisui, who looked utterly disheveled. "I'm the one who held us back." Beiyan Yesen was full of guilt. "If I hadn't been so weak and knocked unconscious by the enemy as soon as we started fighting, leaving my two teammates to fight a tough battle, I wouldn't be in such a miserable state now. The enemy is too strong." Uchiha Shisui leaned against the stone wall and slowly raised his head. By the dim candlelight, Shirakumo Hayama noticed that Uchiha Shisui's left eye socket was sunken, as if even the light was trapped inside. "Shisui, you." Shirakumo Hayama's voice caught in his throat. Uchiha Shisui did not deliberately hide the fact that he had lost his left eye. He simply used his remaining eye to scan his two companions. He said to the two, "The enemies of the Star Ninja Village are no longer something that ordinary ninjas can handle. If we want to eliminate the Star Ninja Village, we must start a war. However, the Hidden Leaf Village is now too weak to sustain another war. Moreover, some of their subordinates are members of our Uchiha clan who have been living outside the village. If this is not handled properly, it may cause the village to become suspicious of the Uchiha clan." Upon hearing Shisui's explanation, both Shirakumo Hayama and Hyuga Himen recalled the terrifying black-haired girl. Bayan Yeshin was knocked unconscious, so he didn't see the subsequent battle. But Hyuga Himen clearly saw the two giants fighting in the forest. That godlike power still haunts him to this day. Therefore, I hope that I will give a full report on this mission to the Hokage. As for the details of the mission, I hope you will keep it confidential from others within a certain scope. When he finished speaking, Uchiha Shisui looked at Hyuga Himen. This statement was primarily directed at Hyuga Himen. Shisui knew that, given Hayama's personality, he wouldn't reveal mission details to anyone other than the Hokage. Hyuga Himen is a member of the Hyuga branch family, and above him are not only the head of the Hyuga branch family, but also the head of the Hyuga main family. Therefore, Shisui did not force the issue, and was very considerate of Hyuga Himen's identity and feelings. After a brief silence, Hinata nodded. Bai Unieshin scratched his somewhat dazed head and said, "You're the captain, I'll listen to you." "Thank you for your understanding." Shisui bowed slightly in thanks. Next, the three took turns keeping watch and rested. Shisui, filled with doubts and worries about how the village leaders would perceive the Uchiha clan after the news reached the village, couldn't sleep. Star Ninja Village. This small village of ninja, nestled deep in the mountains, is currently undergoing relocation. Kato directed his caravan and the villagers of the ninja village to load various daily necessities onto the carriages. And then, escorted by the Star Ninja, they traveled in batches to the capital of the Land of Bears. They will establish a new ninja village on the outskirts of the capital, near the forests and mountains in the eastern suburbs. The name, Star Ninja Village, will soon become history. Yi Xing stood at the entrance of Star Ninja Village, watching the villagers move away joyfully and looking at the village surrounded by lush green forests, and sighed. From now on, this place will serve as a military outpost for stationing military forces in the western region. Meanwhile, most of the residents and ninjas of Xingnan Village began a new life. Night Star is very worried about the future. But the eyes of these villagers and star ninjas were filled with longing for the future. A commotion suddenly arose in the distance. Kakuzu, carrying two sand village prisoners, walked through the crowd, the chains of the Anbu ninja dragging on the ground with a grating sound. "Hey, Kakuzu, where did you catch this?" Kato teased, taking a break from his busy schedule. Kakuzu snorted lightly, "Just two infiltrators." He then arranged for ANBU ninjas to send the two sand village ninjas to be imprisoned, awaiting instructions from Lord Shura. Lord Nameless is back. The sight of Uchiha Hikaru and Uzumaki Kaoru escorting the Iwagakure prisoners caused an even greater commotion. Lord Nameless, Lord Fragrant Grass, the other star ninjas bowed respectfully upon seeing the two. Kakuzu couldn't help but look at the three Iwagakure ninjas bound by the Vajra seal. When he saw the explosion release ninja, Kari, his blue pupils gleamed with greed. He said to Uchiha Hikaru, "This guy is pretty strong, give him to me." The ninjas that Kakuzu takes a liking to are either exceptionally strong jonin, used to steal his heart, or ninjas with bounties on the black market. Don't even think about messing with these three guys. Uchiha Hikaru gave Kakuzu a cold glance. Lock them all up, they'll be useful later. Kakuzu clicked his tongue and gestured to the several ANBU behind him. The ANBU then put the specially made prison shackles on the Iwagakure villagers and took them to the prison. "We just encountered 3 Konoha ninjas, but they were driven away," said Vanilla Uzumaki, who had just released the adamantine seal. Seeing that Sunagakure ninjas had been captured, Iwagakure ninjas had been tied up, and now that he heard that 3 Konoha ninjas had been driven away, Yi Xing sighed with mixed feelings. "Wrestle." Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest. Everyone's attention was drawn to one figure. With a slight smile playing on his lips, Uchiha Hikaru stepped forward, clutching the gift in his hand. "We've arrived. Your 2 companions should have been brought here as well," Menma said to someone behind him. Behind Mima was a hot-bodied, unsteady female ninja, her sand village headband hanging askew on her blood-stained outfit. Upon seeing the female ninja, Uchiha Hikaru's pupils constricted sharply, and he nearly crushed the gift he was hiding in his hand. "My lord, who is she?" Uzumaki Vanilla also sized up the female ninja who wore a sand village headband, had birch and green hair, and had a pair of long legs. Yekura, a jonin from Sunagakur, is now my prisoner. Menma said to Kakuzu, arrange a cell for her, no need to give her special treatment, just treat her normally. Yes, sir, Kakuzu grunted twice. He had already recognized the blazing release, Pakura. As a hero of Sunagakur during the Third Shinobi World War, Kirigakure offered a considerable reward for her on the underground black market. Having just survived a fierce battle, the somewhat weakened Yekura was shackled and handcuffed by the Anbu ninjas of Hoshigakure and imprisoned. Menma was about to enter the village to ask his subordinates how many infiltrated foreign ninjas they had captured, when Uchiha Hikaru tugged at his sleeve. What's wrong? Menma turned around and saw Uchiha Hikaru slowly raising his right hand. I brought you a gift. The girl spread her slender fingers. In the palm of his hand, a blood-stained 3-tamo Sharingan seemed to be staring intently at Menma. End of this chapter. Chapter 74, Who is the Mole? Chapter 74, Who is the Mole? Star Ninja Village, Star Shadow Building. Menma sat in the main seat, toying with a glass tube in his hand. Inside, a 3-tamo Sharingan eyeball was floating in a pale green liquid. The blood-red pupils gleamed with an eerie light amidst the interplay of light and shadow. The opponent's name is Shisui. The mahjong glass tube tapped lightly on the table. After listening to the battle report from Uzumaki Vanilla and Uchiha Hikaru, he raised an eyebrow. So is this the left eye or the right eye? Left eye. Uchiha Hikaru sat in the first position to Menma's left, signifying her status within the organization. From the seat on the right, Kakuzu's hoarse voice came from under his mask. Uchiha Shisui of Konoha village made great contributions in the battle against Kirigakure during the Third Shinobi World War. He earned the title of Shisui of the body flicker technique with his special technique, and Kirigakure put a bounty of 30 million ryo on his head. As a bounty hunter who frequently operates in the underground black market, Kakuzu knows every single person on the bounty list like the back of his hand. This renowned jonin was defeated by Nameless, and according to their accounts of the battle, Nameless single-handedly defeated 3 Konoha ninjas. Although they did not capture any Konoha ninjas, they did manage to take one of Uchiha Shisui's Sharingan eyes. Kakuzu couldn't help but feel even more wary of Nameless's strength. There's also Vanilla Uzumaki, who was working with Nameless. Not long ago, she was only a chunin, but this time she was able to restrain a jonin and 2 chunin from Iwagakure. Her strength has improved too fast. With one hand on the glass tube, Menma tapped the cap rhythmically with his index finger. The crisps sound particularly clear in the quiet hall. He was extremely familiar with the name Uchiha Shisui. This person's Manjikaiu Sharingan is the Kato Matsukami, known as the strongest genjutsu, which can change a person's will. Now, they've been forcibly detained by Uchiha Hikaru. Tusk. However, Menma remained cautious and did not rush to replace his Sharingan with this one. If Shisui were to leave some kind of pupil technique in this eyeball, it would be quite troublesome. Moreover, there are a lot going on lately, and it wouldn't be good if I got bogged down in things. He put away the Sharingan and said to Uchiha Hikaru, well done. I really like this Sharingan. Uchiha Hikaru feigned indifference, gave a soft hum, and then slightly turned his head. The upturned corners of her mouth betrayed her joyful heart. Next, Menma listened to Kakuzu's report on the capture of the 2 Sunagakur ninjas. After separating from Yekura, the 2 tried to infiltrate the caravan and enter Hoshigakure, but were captured by the Anbu led by Kakuzu. As for Yekura, Menma recalled the stubborn look on that woman's face as she stubbornly tried to form hand seals despite her limp. Based on the initial interrogation of these infiltrated foreign ninjas, it can be basically confirmed that someone sent out a distress message from the land of bears or even the Star Village. Menma rested his chin on his hand, looking at Yaru. The former 3rd Hoshikage of the Star Ninja Village immediately knelt down. Lord Shura, this matter has absolutely nothing to do with me. I know you don't have time to do that, Menma said casually. Do you have any suspects? This made Yi Xing hesitate a bit. Seeing this, everyone realized that Yi Xing indeed had some secrets. "You old codger, what's there to hide? Just tell me already," Kato yelled at Nightstar in a fit of irritation. Now that things had come to this, Yi Xing could only honestly confess, reporting to my lord, Xing Ninja Village, indeed still has 2 Jonin who are out there. Nightstar spoke slowly. A year ago, the 2 ninjas in the village who had made the highest progress in their training using the meteorite, Hataru and Natsumi, discovered the side effects of meteorite training and decided to steal the meteorite to destroy it. Just as they were about to escape the village, they were ambushed and pursued by Yorosei and his ANBU ninja. However, Yi Xing also knew that the side effects of meteor training had caused many talented young people in Xingren village to die at a young age. Therefore, he took this opportunity to seal off meteor training and forbid the people of the village from practicing it. He entrusted the 2 ninjas, Firefly and Summer, with the important task of monitoring the village's movements from outside. If someone wants to restart meteorite cultivation, but they are no longer around, they should ask the 2 of them to handle it. Night Star then announced to the villagers, in the name of the 3rd generation Star Shadow, that Firefly and Summer had been killed by enemies who were trying to steal a meteorite, sacrificing their lives heroically. Are you sure it was those 2 who sent out the distress signal? Menma actually already knew about Hataru and Natsumi's information, but he was just giving Yoro a chance to see if he would reveal it on his own. Now, Nightstar has withstood the test. I'm not really sure either. Cold sweat beaded on Yi Xing's graying temples. Firefly and Summer are the strongest young people in the current generation of Star Ninja Village, which is why he has high hopes for them. Go and bring those 2 back, Menma said to Yosei. They should cooperate fully with the investigation. If they did it, I will deal with them. If they didn't, I will add 2 Jonin to the organization. Menma vaguely remembered that Zia Rai's peacock technique training had reached its peak, making him probably the strongest fighter among the group of star ninjas. However, her husband, Firefly, is in bad shape and may not live for more than a few years after being eroded by the radiation energy of the meteorite. Yes, Yi Xing respectfully accepted the order. After Yi Xing left, Mayan Majiang tossed a scroll to Kakuzu. Arrest people according to the list, and I'll leave the interrogation to you. Menma possesses the malice perception of the Dark Nine-Tails, and is very clear about who in the village harbors the greatest malice towards him. Arrest all these people and interrogate them one by one. We'll eventually find the traitor. Hehe, Kakuzu put away the scroll and let out a hoarse and unpleasant laugh. However, just as Kakuzu got up to leave, Kyusa Uzumaki stood up and volunteered, "My lord, let me participate in the interrogation as well." Menma asked in confusion. Vanilla Uzumaki explained, "I'm practicing Kagura Mind's Eye and have discovered that this secret technique can sense detailed changes in chakra. It might be useful in the interrogation of ninjas." It turns out that Vanilla Whirlpool wanted to test whether Kagura's Mind's Eye could be used as a lie detector. "Okay, go ahead." Menma nodded in agreement. The land of rain. Akatsuki headquarters. A spatial vortex rippled, and the figure of Uchiha Madara, wearing a tiger-striped mask, appeared. "Where did you come from? You still smell of blood." Conan noticed a faint smell of blood and frowned slightly as she stared at Uchiha Madara's ninja sword. "I went out to have some fun." Obito's face, hidden behind his mask, showed a rare hint of joy. He had just helped an Uchiha boy awaken his Sharingan, completing the setup for a chess piece. Pain, who was in the shadows, slowly opened his eyes. Zetsu brought back some information. That mysterious Shura may be in Hashigakure. "What, you're interested in that cowardly guy?" Obito pressed one hand on the hilt of his sword, raised his tiger-striped mask, and met Pain's Rinnegan with his Sharingan. End of this chapter. Chapter 75, Chakra Network Project. Chapter 75, Chakra Network Project. Pain said solemnly, "Go and scout out the situation over there. If possible, recruit that person as a new member of Akatsuki." In the tragedy 4 years ago, most of the Akatsuki members were killed, leaving only Conan and Nagato alive. Hanzo of the Salamander was deeply afraid of Nagato's god's eyes and dared not go out anymore. He could only hide under the protection of the Rain Ninja and keep sending out ninjas to search for clues about Nagato and Konan, trying to completely eliminate them. Nagato, due to the losses from summoning the Jido Mazo 4 years ago and the enormous amount of chakra consumed in creating the 6 paths of pain, has not yet fully recovered and can only lie dormant, waiting for the right opportunity. Nagato awaits the completion of 6 paths of pain. Obito awaits the opportunity to weaken Konoha, and Black Zetsu is secretly plotting. They remained hidden until 9 years later. When the 6 paths of pain was completed, the Akatsuki recruited many powerful rogue ninja, and Nagato officially launched his revenge against Hanzo of the Salamander, completely taking control of Aimgakure. The timeline should be roughly after the first Chunin exams. Because during the first Chunin exams, Aimgakure sent ninjas to participate, and their headbands were still in normal condition. By the time Jiraiya infiltrated Aimgakure to gather intelligence, the Aimgakure ninjas already had a mark on their headbands, while those without marks were considered Hanzo's remnants. HMPH, let me go and have a go at this rat. Obito was also somewhat interested in this mysterious ninja. I plan to gather some intelligence and assess its impact on the Eye of the Moon project. If put to good use, it could be a useful tool. Black Zetsu also spoke up at the opportune moment, saying, "I'll go too, and I'll also leave a few white Zetsu there to keep an eye on things." Pain nodded slightly, his Rinnegan watching Madara vanish into thin air and Zetsu disappear underground. After they all left, Konan waited a while before asking, will Madara develop that person into his confidant? The Akatsuki organization currently only has 4 members: Nagato, Konan, Madara, and Zetsu. Madara and Zetsu joined together, and they are clearly from the same faction. If they are put in charge of recruiting people, most of the new recruits will become members of their faction. This will affect Nagato's control over the Akatsuki organization. I have a feeling that guy called Shura is definitely not simple, Pain said coldly before closing his eyes. Nagato's consciousness also returned to its original form. Seeing Nagato say this, Konan stopped talking and turned to gaze at the endless rain outside. Star Ninja Village. At the village square, Uchiha Hikaru was branding each team of Star Ninja, who escorted the villagers away with a mark. As pale red chakra flowed from her fingertips, a Sharingan pattern appeared on the back of each of the Star Ninjas' hands before disappearing beneath their skin. The Star Ninja who was branded with the mark did not notice anything unusual and could not even feel the presence of the mark at all. "Are you tired?" Menma, wearing a white three-eyed fox mask, stood next to Uchiha Hikaru. After the last Hoshi ninja was branded with the mark, he finally spoke up to ask with concern. It was already dusk, and most of the villagers and ninjas of Xingnan village had already moved, leaving the entire village deserted except for a few ninjas stationed there. Uchiha Hikaru gently shook his head. Although she had branded more than 200 people with her mark, the chakra expenditure was negligible for her. If we were to connect these markings to form a chakra network, how much chakra would be needed? The combination of the marked Tsukuyomi and the 8,000 spears was simply too powerful. Menma was already pondering how to use Uchiha Hikaru as the central server to build a chakra network. In this plan, any ninja with a marking could activate their marking with chakra, and then communicate and exchange information through this chakra network regardless of distance, even transferring chakra to wounded soldiers for healing purposes. If developed properly, linking the chakra of all ninjas together, wouldn't that be a new ninja sect? A chakra network? Uchiha Hikaru frowned slightly on his small face. Currently, it's only about 200 people, which I can manage on my own, but if the number doubles, it will be hard to estimate. She also did not test the chakra transfer limit of 8,000 spears. Menma fell into deep thought, recalling how Uchiha Hikaru imprinted the 8,000 spears onto the ninja's body through the game's helmet. And with the addition of some scientific ninja tools, a rudimentary chakra network was formed. This allowed them to gain control over many ninjas. Clearly, Hikaru Uchiha alone could not support such a massive chakra network system. Chakra, Menma thought of the tailed beasts. If we use the chakra of the tailed beasts as the energy system and information processing center of this chakra network, to what extent can it be achieved? This idea made Menma start to look forward to it. Each of the nine-tailed beasts has its own Jinchuriki, but there is also the 0 tails that can be captured. Furthermore, the Fortress of the Sky Village is powered by the 0 tails, and it also has a super heavy cannon that can draw on the 0 tails chakra as energy for firing. It is evident that the hidden village has already achieved unique research results in chakra energy conversion. I just don't know the exact location of this Sky Ninja Village. Menma remembered that the fortress was located underground at the site of the old Sky Ninja Village, but he had almost forgotten the movie in which Sky Ninja Village appeared. He would need to check the information later to confirm the exact location. Heads, 1 o'clock, there's a white Zetsu. Suddenly, the Nine-Tails warning exploded in my mind. Without any hesitation, Menma raised his hand and threw out 3 kunai wrapped with explosive tags. Call out. Ding, ding, ding. 3 kunai were nailed to a large tree, and the explosive tags wrapped around their tails instantly ignited. Boom, 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 3 loud explosions rang out in the forest, shattering the trees around the target. Amidst the smoke and fire, 2 figures slowly emerged. The leader was dressed in a dark blue robe, with a tiger-striped mask beneath his spiky hair and a long sword at his waist. The other one resembled a strange pitcher plant, its black and white body appearing particularly eerie in the twilight. Enemy, Uchiha Hikaru immediately assumed a battle stance. As soon as Menma looked up and threw the kunai, she activated her Sharingan and keenly observed that there was also a scarlet Sharingan under the single eye hole of the tiger-striped mask. Obito Uchiha's body was faintly visible in the flames of the explosion. His one eye stared at Shura, wearing a white 3-eyed fox mask, then glanced at the girl next to him who had activated her 3-tamo Sharingan and made a meaningful click of his tongue. The Uchiha clan that have been separated from their clan. Obito didn't remember that the Uchiha clan had any bloodlines that had been separated from their clan. But it doesn't matter. Let me introduce myself. I am Uchiha Madara. Obito feigned aloofness, still using the name Madara. End of this chapter. Chapter 76, Remarks on the Launch. Chapter 76, Remarks on the Launch that's going to be available soon. Let me chat with you briefly. The first one, since this is my first time writing Naruto fanfiction, I had to research and verify many parts on the spot. But there are many conflicts between the Naruto timeline and the different versions of the story. For example, regarding the timing of Pakura's death using the scorching release technique, she first appeared in a movie where she was killed by Haruko, and then Kishimoto brought her back to life in the manga using the impure world reincarnation technique. Shrugs. Therefore, there's no need to dwell too much on timeline and setting issues. Blaming Kishimoto is the right thing to do. The second one, personally, I respect the original plot. Regarding Naruto's treatment and the third Hokage's issues, my original intention was to write a conspiracy theory from the protagonist's perspective, but I didn't write it well. Whether people stick to the original story or believe there's a conspiracy involved, just stick to your own ideas. The third one, already written time travel stories and fanfiction, why wouldn't I create a harem? Finally, I'll leave the subscription to you, pats his butt. End of this chapter, Chapter 77 Menma. My name is Uchiha Obito, please subscribe. Chapter 77 Menma. My name is Uchiha Obito, please subscribe. As dusk fades and night approaches. At the entrance of Hoshigakure, the echoes of the explosion had not yet dissipated when Kakuzu and Uzumaki Kasugai arrived with ANBU ninjas to provide support. They are enemies I've never seen before. Kakuzu's blue pupils narrowed slightly as his gaze locked onto 2 figures not far away. The leader was wearing a tiger-striped mask, while the other had the strange appearance of a pitcher plant. It was very bizarre. At first glance, it seemed to be related to the grass village, but after thinking for a moment, Kakuzu determined that it was probably not a ninja from the grass village. These 2 individuals had never been seen on the bounty lists of the underground black market. Lord Shura, are they enemies? Uzumaki Vanilla quickly flashed behind Menma and Uchiha Hikaru, her red hair fluttering in the wind, her expression solemn. Obito didn't react much when he saw the red hair, but Black Zetsu was secretly startled. The Vortex clan, Black Zetsu thought to himself. Although the white Zetsu he deployed throughout the ninja world had strong concealment skills, they were somewhat wary of sensory ninjas. The Uzumaki clan had a sensory skill called Kagura's Mind's Eye, which had a very wide range. The other party claims to be Uchiha Madara. Menma shook his head slightly, but the corners of his mouth couldn't help but turn up under the mask as he thought about how to play with Obito. Uchiha Madara. Uzumaki Vanilla and Uchiha Hikaru didn't recognize the name, but Kakuzu knew it all too well. He personally experienced the era when he was suppressed by Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. So when he heard the person on the other end identify himself as Uchiha Madara, Kakuzu couldn't help but let out a hoarse sneer from behind his mask. Uchiha Madara wouldn't be so secretive. "Hey Madara, they don't believe you." White Zetsu winked and whispered in Obito's ear. "Shut up," Obito snapped coldly, clearly annoyed. Obito didn't take a mere pair of 3 Tomo Sharingan seriously at all. As for Shura, Obito didn't believe that the opponent's strength was enough to break through his kamui. He slowly drew his ninja sword from his waist and approached step by step. Since Rin's death, Obito has walked in the shadows under the name Uchiha Madara, honing his skills to the demeanor of a master and the oppressive aura of a strongman. The moment the ninja sword was drawn, a chilling, killing intent spread like a tide. Vanilla Uzumaki and the other ANBU ninjas were the first to be intimidated by this murderous aura, breaking out in a cold sweat. Kakuzu's expression also turned serious. The opponent was definitely not Madara Uchiha, but the oppressive aura he exuded was certainly not that of an ordinary ninja. Of everyone present, only Menma and Uchiha Hikaru remained unmoved. "You should all step back. He's not someone you can handle," Menma said, raising his hand to Uzumaki Vanilla and Kakuzu. "My lord, Vanilla's voice trembled slightly, but Kakuzu grabbed her and pulled her away. "This level of combat is beyond the capabilities of ordinary ninjas." Kakuzu understood Lord Shura's meaning and immediately took Vanilla and the Anbu ninjas with him to guard the prison area, lest the enemy use a diversionary tactic. Uchiha Hikaru pulled a kunai from his ninja tool pouch and prepared to step forward. She saw a new mysterious person with Sharingan, and it was clearly not from the Uchiha clan on Konoha's side, which piqued Uchiha Hikaru's interest in this mysterious person. "Let me give him a try." Menma reached out and stopped Uchiha Hikaru. Although he knew that with Hikaru Uchiha's strength and eye power, he could definitely defeat Obito in his current state, he also wanted to personally assess Obito's strength. "I advise you all to come at me together." Obito lightly swung his ninja sword, his steps composed. "After all, I am Uchiha Madara." Obito was still emphasizing his identity as Madara. With a light tap of his toes, the ground cracked, and he shot out like an arrow. At the same time, he swung a kunai. His hands instantly formed a hand seal. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. This kunai transformed into a sky full of cold light, like a violent storm, shooting straight towards Otsutsuki. HMPH. Obito didn't stop walking, letting the kunai pass through his intangible body. He was very confident in his intangibility ability. Tilde Zetsu, who was behind Obito, quickly dodged the kunai by diving underground, and then popped half of his body out from a nearby tree to watch the battle. Clang! The ninja sword and the kunai clashed, sparks flying amidst the intense impact. The moment they clashed, Menma suddenly exerted force with his right hand, thrusting another kunai at Obito's mask. But it pierced through Obito's hollow head, along with his hand and kunai. Taking advantage of the situation, Obito swung his sword down. In the instant after the kunai pierced through, his blade was only 10 centimeters away from the fox mask, and it looked like it was about to hit it. The blade seemed to have struck an invisible barrier, unable to advance any further. What? Obito's pupils shrank dramatically. There was nothing in front of him, not even a chakra cloak. In a moment of shock, Menma spun around and delivered a whip kick, passing right through Obito's body. The two stood side by side, looking at each other again. The first round of probing attacks has ended. I thought your taijutsu would be quite impressive, but it turns out you're just relying on that intangibility ability. Menma reflected on his brief battle with Obito. Although it was only a two-move exchange, he gained a clearer understanding of Obito's intangibility ability. Obito's Sharingan, beneath his tiger-striped mask, also became serious. That feeling of about to strike, only to be blocked by something unseen in the void. This reminded Obito of Nagato's Rinnegan eye technique, Shinra Tensei, but upon careful reflection, the feeling of being blocked during the swing was different from the repulsive force of Shinra Tensei. It felt more like being blocked by something. It was as if a barrier was protecting Shura. You do have some ability after all. Obito's voice was deep, showing that he was taking this unknown power seriously. I also became a little curious about the true face behind the Asura mask. However, he remained very confident in his divine power. After all, it's impossible for everyone to have the same high level of reflexes as Minato Namikaze, and at the same time, master a space-time ninjutsu like the Flying Thunder God technique. But that's all. Next time, I'll take your life. Before Obito finished speaking, he suddenly lunged forward, slashing with his ninja sword once more. Menma continued to throw kunai with one hand, but this time he didn't use the shuriken shadow clone technique. He simply shot it towards Obito's mask. Then his figure followed closely behind. Obito didn't even use his ninja sword to block. The kunai pierced through his head. His Sharingan, hidden beneath the tiger-striped mask, locked onto his opponent's every move, ready to enter hollowification at any moment. Suddenly, a crimson Sharingan flashed through the right eye hole of the white three-eyed fox mask. Illusion technique, the art of shackles. Obito froze for a moment, but even though he broke free in an instant, the enemy's fist had already slammed into his chest. Boom! Obito was sent flying several meters, tumbling through the air before staggering to the ground. Cough, the tiger-striped mask suddenly lifted, and his three-tomo Sharingan eyes were filled with disbelief. You're also from the Uchiha clan? Obito clutched his chest where he had been hit, the Sharingan he had glimpsed earlier flashing through his mind. It seems to be a three-tomo jade. When did the Uchiha clan have so many three-tomo Sharingan? It's still the three-tomo Sharingan that was lost and wandered out. Ah, I forgot to introduce myself. Menma withdrew his fist and stretched his wrist. A mocking voice came from beneath the white three-eyed fox mask. My name is Uchiha Obito. End of this chapter. Chapter 78, Divine Might Cannot Hide Tears. Obito and #039. S Heart Shatters second update. Please Subscr. Chapter 78, Divine Might Cannot Hide Tears. Obito's Heart Shatters second update. Please subscribe. This self-introduction completely baffled Obito. You're Obito Uchiha, then who am I? This isn't funny. Obito steadied himself and patted the spot on his chest where he had been kicked. Thanks to the powerful regenerative abilities of the white Zetsu and Hashirama cells, the injury has healed rapidly. However, Shura's words, my name is Uchiha Obito, pierced Obito's deepest wound. How could his real name be used by others so casually? That name, along with Nohara Rin, has died forever on that blood-red night. Whoever you are, you will pay the price. Obito's voice was icy cold as he swung his ninja sword, the blade reflecting a chilling glint in the moonlight. Why don't you believe me? I really am Uchiha Obito. Menma helplessly spread his hands and continued rambling. Actually, I only faked my death to escape during the Battle of Kanabi Bridge. Do you want to hear my revenge story? Listening to the other party's utter nonsense, Obito let out a suppressed cold laugh from behind his mask. He plunged his ninja sword deep into the ground and quickly formed hand seals. Fire release, explosive wind dance. A surge of intense fire attribute chakra condensed beneath Obito's mask and erupted forth. The divine power was activated, distorting the surrounding space and triggering an even more intense cyclone storm that, along with flames, formed a massive vortex of fire. The flames dancing in the distorted space were like a ferocious fire serpent, spiraling forward, determined to devour all enemies in its path. accompanied by strong winds and heat waves, the surrounding trees were instantly burned to ashes. Faced with the surging spiral fire release attack, Menma calmly formed hand seals. You want to compare chakra? Let's compare chakra. Fire escape the great fire extinguishes. After completing the hand seals, Menma placed one hand under his mask, condensing a large amount of fire attribute chakra, which surged out like a tsunami. The entire raging fire extinguished, forming a wall of fire tens of meters wide, leaving nothing but scorched earth in its wake. Like a giant wave of fire, it rushed towards the spiraling, swirling blast of wind on the opposite side. Boom, the two fire-style techniques clashed, unleashing a deafening roar as the two flames devoured each other. Neither was willing to give way. The sky, which had already dimmed, became as bright and hot as summer due to this fire-style energy blast, and even the ground was burned and crystallized. Obito kept increasing his chakra output, trying to use fire release to show his opponent who the real Uchiha was. However, no matter how much Obito increased his chakra output, his fire jutsu could not break through the opponent's sea of fire. The longer it continued, the more alarmed Obito became. Just then, Menma began to increase his output power, and the chakra flames spewing from his mouth soared to a whole new level. The wave of fire surged instantly. With overwhelming force, they swept past the opponent's fire release. Explosive dance. Seeing that the opponent's chakra reserves and ninjutsu were terrifyingly beyond human capabilities, Obito Uchiha had no choice but to abandon the clash of chakra and directly enter a state of intangibility. The unsupported, chaotic blast was instantly extinguished and engulfed by the raging fire. Forest trees, shrubs, and weeds were consumed by the flames, leaving behind a charred, dark corridor. After the flames died down, Jiu's body scrambled to his feet from the scorched earth beside him. Oh my gosh, how scary. The white-clad figure waved its arms exaggeratedly, screaming all the while. On the scorched earth, Obito Uchiha's figure gradually emerged, his Sharingan beneath the tiger-striped mask filled with solemnity. Although both explosive wind dance and great fire annihilation are B-rank ninjutsu, this only refers to their difficulty in learning. The power of ninjutsu depends on the amount of chakra the user has and their mastery of the technique. Madara Uchiha, for example, could unleash B-rank ninjutsu with the power of a natural disaster. This is getting a bit troublesome, Madara. Zetsu, like an annoying mosquito, kept buzzing from the side. There are two Uchiha on the other side. Shut up! Obito snapped, and the three-tamo Sharingan beneath his tiger-striped mask began to rotate, gradually forming a Mangekyo Sharingan pattern. Obito is getting serious. I've had enough fun. However, just as Obito was about to launch a new offensive, he saw Shura clapping his hands. He then walked over to the Uchiha girl beside him and affectionately put his hand on her shoulder. Go and play with him. Menma didn't even use his full strength, and he knew that Obito didn't use his full strength either. However, if the two of them continue fighting, Menma will probably reveal that he knows the secret of the other's Kamui, or that he has revealed the Flying Thunder God technique and the Dark Nine-Tails chakra. At this point in time, he doesn't want to reveal himself too early. So, Menma decided to send Uchiha Hikaru to play with Obito so that she could gather some information about him. Uchiha Hikaru was about to step forward when she suddenly remembered something. A sweet smile appeared on her face as she looked at Masaru. Okay, Obito tilde. Although she didn't understand why Menma called himself Uchiha Obito, she guessed that the name was related to the mysterious person opposite her, so she cooperated with Menma in putting on an act. Click! Beneath the tiger-striped mask, there seemed to be the sound of something breaking. Obito stared blankly at the gentle smile on the girl's face. In a daze, I seemed to see Rin when she was still a genin back then. When I first became a ninja in Konoha, those ordinary yet beautiful days, even the tedious D-rank missions, were made wonderful by Rin's gentle smile. But seeing the other person using my name, being so affectionate. You two bastards. Obito was furious, his voice trembling with rage. The Mangekyo Sharingan spun wildly, and tears flowed uncontrollably. He threw the ninja sword he had just put away from the Kamui dimension, shooting it towards the black-haired girl opposite him with lightning speed, while he himself followed closely behind and attacked. Uchiha Hikaru deftly blocked with his kunai, closing the distance between them. The instant the ninja sword was knocked away, Obito precisely grabbed the hilt, swung it backhand, and delivered a fierce horizontal slash. It clashed with Uchiha Hikaru's kunai once again. Clang amidst the sparks of clashing metal, Obito activated his right Kamui, beginning to distort the surrounding space in an attempt to draw his enemy into his Kamui dimension. Boom, however, a burst of dark red flames shot into the sky, completely enveloping Uchiha Hikaru. Amaterasu. Obito was shocked and immediately canceled the absorption of Kamui, quickly creating distance. If one gets tainted by this flame, the only way to stop the inextinguishable Amaterasu flames from burning the body is to cut off a part of it. When Obito uses Kamui absorption, he cannot become intangible and can only retreat hastily. As he retreated, a dark red bone claw suddenly emerged from the flames and attacked Obito. Obito, who didn't have time to become intangible, could only raise his ninja sword and hastily parry. Bang! The immense impact sent Obito flying several meters, and even cracks appeared in his ninja sword. Once he had regained his footing, he looked up in astonishment once more. The dark red Susanoo stood majestically, its half-skeletal giant body enveloping the black-haired girl. Beneath her flowing long hair, a pair of unparalleled Manjikaiu Sharingan were blooming. End of this chapter, Chapter 79, U&-039 Re, the only one with a kaleidoscope. Third update, please subscribe. Chapter 79, you're the only one with a kaleidoscope. Third update, please subscribe. On the battlefield outside Hashinin village, the situation is changing rapidly. When Obito saw the towering, dark red Susanoo standing halfway up the body, and the Manjikaiu Sharingan blooming in the girl's eyes, his hair stood on end. There are not only two Uchiha on the other side, but one of them is an Uchiha with the Manjikaiu Sharingan. Why did this happen? It's already outrageous that there are Uchiha bloodlines who have been separated from the Uchiha clan, let alone one with 3 Tamo and a Manjikaiu Sharingan. Just how incompetent is the Uchiha clan of Konoha? How could they allow 2 such powerful Uchiha clan members to be left to wander outside? And one of them is a kaleidoscope, such a young kaleidoscope. Hey, that thing is way too exaggerated, White Zetsu exclaimed, while Black Zetsu fell silent. Damn it, when did the Uchiha clan become like this? Obito quickly realized that he could not continue fighting the opponent. The opponent not only has a mysterious and unpredictable Shura, but also an Uchiha with 2 Manjikaiu Sharingan eyes. If the fight continues like this, I, with only 1 Manjikaiu Sharingan, will suffer a great loss. For example, right now, the opponent can unleash Susanoo, but I can't use this third power because I'm missing 1 Manjikaiu Sharingan. Withdraw. This was Obito's only thought at that moment. Divine power. Obito immediately activated his eye technique, attempting to escape into the Kamui dimension. However, after his Kamui was fully absorbed into his body, he was horrified to find himself still on the battlefield outside the Star Village. I don't know when, but the annoying buzzing like a mosquito just now has disappeared. What? Obito exclaimed in shock. He had unknowingly fallen victim to the other party's eye technique. The black-haired girl opposite them had her Manjikaiu Sharingan activated, and her whole body was enveloped by the giant Susanoo. A huge red moon appeared under the starry sky behind her. A girl's kaleidoscope pattern appears in the crimson moon. When? It's laughable that someone from the Uchiha clan could fall for a genjutsu. It seems this is the opponent's Manjikaiu Sharingan technique. Ordinary methods won't be able to break it. Obito released his eye power, attempting to use even stronger eye power to break the illusion. Boom, at this moment, the dark red Susanoo opposite them had already walked over. Its entire skeleton began to condense chakra and flesh, and its wings spread out, causing the air currents it created to make Obito's robes flutter. The dark red Susanoo drew its chakra sword and swung it down fiercely towards Obito. Obito instinctively tried to activate holofication to dodge, but found that his body was completely out of his control, cut it off with one knife. 2 slashes down. 3 slashes down. Every time the chakra blade slashed at his body, it felt as if he were being cleaved in two, his bones shattering. Obito experienced this excruciating pain time and time again. He cried out in despair as he discovered that his eye power was completely powerless to break free of this illusionary space. This shows that the other party's pupil power is far superior to his. I do not know how long it has been. Obito emerged from the Tsukuyomi space trembling. He looked down, panting, and saw that a tree branch had somehow pierced his foot, leaving bright red blood on the scorched earth. White Zetsu was transferring chakra to him, using external interference to help him break free from the genjutsu. Uchiha Hikaru also noticed Obito breaking free of the genjutsu, but she was more concerned about the piece of wood that suddenly rose from under Obito's feet and pierced through his soul. Is this wood release? Uchiha Hikaru looked at the thing that looked like a pitcher plant. After breaking free of the genjutsu, Obito didn't hesitate for a moment and immediately activated Kamui, absorbing his body into the Kamui dimension. Zetsu, seeing Obito's attack stop, knew that Obito was most likely under a genjutsu, and immediately used wood release to pierce Obito's foot from the ground, channeling chakra into him to break the genjutsu. Seeing that Obito had safely entered the Kamui dimension, Zetsu also used the mayfly technique to escape. On the scorched earth, only a small patch of blood and a scene of utter devastation remained. That guy, Uchiha Hikaru, released his Susanoo and began to analyze the intangibility ability of the tiger-striped masked man from before. His eye technique should also be the Manjikayu Sharingan, but he didn't use Susanoo, which means he might be missing an eye. Uchiha Hikaru thought of Uchiha Shisui, whom she had fought yesterday. Although both of them possess the Manjikayu Sharingan, that kid named Shisui can already use the second stage of Susanoo. But that guy who called himself Uchiha Madara didn't even use Susanoo after seeing me use it. She needed help to break free from her illusionary Tsukuyomi, which shows how severely her eye power was lacking. Are we just going to let them escape like this? Uchiha Hikaru turned around and looked at Menma, who was sitting on the gate of Hashigakure watching the show. She knew that Menma possessed a sensory ninjutsu that allowed him to track enemies, yet Menma did not pursue him. That guy has a different dimension. Once he escapes inside, we won't be able to catch him. A light, airy voice came from behind the white three-eyed fox mask. There's also a pitcher plant. Its mayfly technique allows it to escape very quickly. Black Zetsu has been lying low for 1,000 years and only found this one opportunity. We can't push him too far. Moreover, Obito, with only one Manjikayu Sharingan, posed no threat. Menma didn't want Obito to die so easily. It would be too lenient for him, as Obito was the enemy who killed his father and mother. Go back to Konoha and dig up some graves to see if you can find Nohara Rin's bones. Try to extract her cells and revive her. I wonder if it would be possible to clone Rin Nohara's body, and then use that flesh and blood to perform the impure world reincarnation. For now, letting them continue to deceive Nagato and continue that so-called Eye of the Moon project will buy us some time to develop. Perhaps after this encounter, Nagato and Obito will accelerate the Akatsuki's expansion efforts. Once Nagato kills Hanzo the Salamander, the main storyline will begin, and Menma will be able to reveal information about the Akatsuki organization to Konoha, especially to Jiraiya. Let them go and cause trouble for the Akatsuki. I wonder if Obito will go to Kakashi after this and get the other Manjikayu Sharingan back. In the divine space. As soon as Obito appeared, he collapsed to the ground, completely abandoning his previous image as a mysterious and powerful figure. He took off his tiger-striped mask, panting. His right eye was throbbing from overuse of his pupil technique, and he was still shaken by the battle. Why is there a pair of kaleidoscopes left out here? Obito recalled his conversation with Madara Uchiha and his infiltration of the Nakagawa shrine to examine the history of the Uchiha clan. I have never heard of any Uchiha clan members who have been separated from their clan, although It is true that some Uchiha clan members marry out of the clan. They will bring any married Uchiha who has awakened the Sharingan, or any child born to them who has awakened the Sharingan, back to the clan territory. But now, not only has a Sharingan with 3 Tamo appeared, but a girl who looks about the same age as me has a Mangekaiwu Sharingan. Without one Mangekaiwu Sharingan, he was no match for his opponent, damn it. Could it be that they are also like me? Uchiha who faked their deaths during the war? Obito felt that this matter was of great importance and could very well disrupt the Eye of the Moon plan. He had to find out exactly who the other party was and what their purpose was. Obito gritted his teeth, thinking of the eye he had given to Kakashi. 5 chapters will be released upon release, with 2 more to be released during the day. End of this chapter, Chapter 80 Shisui Village. Itachi Uchiha awakens his Sharingan 4 chapters. Please subscribe. Chapter 80 Shisui returns to the village. Itachi Uchiha awakens his Sharingan 4th update. Please subscribe. Konoha Village, the home of the Uchiha clan. Fugaku Uchiha's hearty laughter echoed throughout the clan head's residence. Hahaha, truly worthy of being my son. Fugaku looked at Itachi Uchiha's returning Sharingan with its crimson double Tamo eyes, his face filled with pride. Completely oblivious to her son's depressed mood and the gloom churning in his eyes. Having just returned from a mission, Itachi Uchiha's eyes were bloodshot, and the scenes of his teammates and teacher being killed kept replaying in his mind. In particular, there is the scene where Tianma, in order to protect herself, actively confronts the enemy, screaming for her to run away amidst splattering blood. Just a few days ago, they were catching cats together. Itachi Uchiha was also accepted by Tenma and Kokoro, and the 3 became friends. Now, only he himself has survived from that squad. Driven by extreme fear and the emotional trauma of losing his teammates and teachers, Itachi Uchiha awakened his double Tamo Sharingan, which allowed him to see the tiger-striped masked man with his crimson Sharingan in one of his pupils. However, he couldn't understand why there would be Uchiha clan members wandering outside, and why they would still want to kill Konoha ninjas. Fugaku Uchiha was still laughing. After all, Itachi is already 8 years old. It's worrying if a genius of that age hasn't awakened his Sharingan yet. The father's shrill laughter made Itachi clench his fists, his emotions churning. He couldn't understand what was so celebratory about the pair of eyes he had gained in exchange for the deaths of his teammates and teachers. Call out. A member of the Anbu ninja suddenly appeared on the courtyard wall. Clan Chief Fugaku, the Hokage urgently summons you to Konoha Hospital. Konoha Hospital. Fugaku Uchiha's smile froze, his brows furrowing as he asked, "Could you tell me roughly what happened?" "You are qualified to know." The ANBU ninja lowered his voice. Uchiha Shisui failed his mission and returned wounded. Shock, the air in the courtyard froze instantly. Fugaku Uchiha's expression turned serious, and Itachi Uchiha also looked up abruptly. "Shisui, one of the Uchiha clan's top fighters has failed his mission and is injured. I'll go there immediately." Fugaku's expression turned serious. After the ANBU ninja left, Fugaku caught a glimpse of his son's trembling lips and said to him, "You rest well at home first. I'll go check on Shisui." Uchiha Itachi wanted to say something, but his raised hand suddenly froze in place. Finally, he could only say dejectedly, "Yes, father." Konoha Hospital. Following the instructions given by the Anbu ninja, Fugaku Uchiha went straight to a hospital room on the 3rd floor. After knocking on the hospital room door, the 3rd Hokage's voice came from inside. "Come in." Fugaku pushed open the door and entered. In the clean white hospital room, Uchiha Shisui, with his left eye wrapped in gauze, lay on the bed. The air was filled with the smell of disinfectant and a trace of blood. Wearing a Hokage hat and a sacred robe, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat on a chair beside the hospital bed, his expression solemn. "Fugaku, you've arrived." Hiruzen Sarutobi raised his head slightly and looked at Fugaku. Clan Chief, Jaishui called out weakly from his sickbed, trying to sit up. Fugaku stepped forward and pressed down on Shisui, then sat down in the chair opposite him. "Hokage-sama." Fugaku looked at Shisui, who was so weak on the sickbed, and stared at his left eye, which was wrapped in bandages. Shisui's eyes. It was taken by the enemy, Shisui said softly. Fugaku's pupils dilated slightly. What kind of enemy could possibly gouge out Shisui's eyes? Who is the enemy? Fugaku asked in a low, solemn voice. When has the Uchiha clan ever suffered such humiliation? That's why I asked you to come here. Fugaku, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, sighed. What do you mean? Fugaku Uchiha looked at the third Hokage, whose face was full of solemnity, with some confusion. The enemy of Hashigakure. Shisui looked at the clan leader Fugaku with his remaining right eye and told him about their encounter. There was an Uchiha clansman who had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. When the last few words were spoken, Fugaku was completely stunned. The Uchiha bloodline that was scattered abroad, or the clan members who have awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan? Are you sure, Shisui? Even though Shisui said it himself, Fugaku still couldn't quite believe it. Lying on the hospital bed, Shisui nodded. She looks about my age, but she's very strong. So strong that our team, which was on a mission, was defeated by Senior Shirokumo and Senior Hinata in just the first round they encountered her. Even when I activated my Sharingan and fought fiercely with my opponent, I was still overwhelmed and couldn't even lift my head. Recalling the terrifying dark red giant pressing down like a mountain, forcing him to retreat step by step, Shisui's right pupil still trembled slightly. If it weren't for her teammates binding the Iwagakure ninjas, giving me the opportunity to lure them away and escape, the three of us might not have made it back safely. Although Shisui did not describe the details of the battle, Fugaku had already imagined how dangerous it must have been. What's her name? After hearing about the battle, Fugaku Uchiha asked seriously. Shisui opened his mouth, his right eye gazing at Fugaku with a complex expression. She calls herself Nameless, and says that she was once a weapon of the Uchiha clan, but was abandoned by the Uchiha clan, so she has a great hatred for the Uchiha clan. Nameless, weapon, abandoned. These words, when linked together, left Fugaku completely baffled. He crossed his arms and frowned deeply. Such powerful Uchiha clan members could not possibly have remained unknown, let alone been abandoned by the Uchiha clan. Thinking of this, Fugaku looked up and met the third Hokage's gaze. He immediately understood why the third Hokage had summoned him. Fugaku immediately explained, Lord Hokage, since I took over as clan leader, every Uchiha who has awakened the Sharingan has been in Konoha. Even Uchiha who have married out of the village have their children brought back to the clan if they awaken the Sharingan. Fugaku emphasized the period since he took office as clan head. Then Fugaku raised another possibility, saying, but whether that person took other clansmen with him when he left back then is unknown. Although Fugaku only referred to him as that person without mentioning his name, Hiruzen Sarutobi naturally knew that he was referring to Madara Uchiha, who had co-founded Konoha with the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. I believe you, Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed and added another piece of information. Besides this Uchiha girl, there is also a suspected remnant of the Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan. Fugaku thought of Kushina, who died in battle a few years ago, and Mito Uzumaki, the wife of the first Hokage. However, the Uzumaki clan has been exterminated for more than 10 years. What about these two Uchiha clan members and Uzumaki clan members who have been living abroad? What kind of combination is this? Hiruzen Sarutobi's aged voice was somewhat hoarse. The situation in Hashigakure is much worse than I expected. According to Shisui's deduction, the mastermind behind the rebellion in Hashigakure is so powerful that it cannot be dealt with by one or two ninja teams. At least a war needs to be launched. Neither Konoha, Sunagakure, nor Iwagakure have the capacity to wage war in the short term. End of this chapter. All right, legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.